up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. The Stanley Cup will be in the building once again tonight, but unlike the previous 3 games, it's there for both teams. The Panthers host the Oilers in the winner-take-all Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Final. Florida trying to win its first cup and avoid the dubious distinction of becoming just the second team in the major North American sports leagues to blow a 3-0 lead and lose a championship series. Former NHL forward and TNT hockey analyst Paul Bissonnette.
Florida Panthers have played a certain style and imposed their will on teams all season long. This is really the first time you're seeing where their game plan going in isn't seem to be working, where Edmonton has made those adjustments. So let's see what Florida can do in order to adjust to figure out Edmonton.
Game 7, 8 Eastern on ABC. NBA, according to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, Raptors franchise cornerstone Scotty Barnes intends to sign a 5-year max rookie extension, could be worth up to $270 million. Also from Woj, Cavaliers hiring Warriors top assistant Kenny Atkinson as their head coach. The Chiefs expect to cut defensive lineman Isaiah Buggs following multiple arrests this offseason.
Hey, it's Evan Cohen coming up Tuesday. Now that J.J. Redick is officially the new Lakers head coach, I'll tell you what he needs to do if they want to be title contenders. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt. Hey, shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Jacob Beck. And Mr. Toby Tom Play. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. We got a ton to do today. College baseball crown a national champion, and one of those teams playing tonight could be looking for a new head baseball coach shortly after this game. We got to delve into that. David Dellucci's here in hour 3. Oklahoma has already extended their football coach, despite the fact that he hadn't coached a game in the SEC. We'll talk to our buddy Eddie Radosevich next hour. And a massive recruiting weekend for LSU football and baseball. A ton to do. Let us begin, as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
Well, it was a pretty massive recruiting weekend for LSU. Bryce Underwood on campus on Friday. You land 3 commitments, including your first 2 for the class of 2026. Vibes were immaculate this weekend around Baton Rouge. And then Sunday night, the dud, which is where we will begin, because not necessarily just to begin with the negative, but it's the most recent and it's the most consequential. So that's where we will start. 4-star cornerback out of Westgate and New Iberia, Jaboree Antoine, who was the highest ranked defensive commitment for LSU's 2025 class. Note I said was. He decommitted from LSU on Sunday night. Hayes Fawcett had the news breaking about Antoine's decommitment. Miami, Florida State are schools that he has recently visited. He says Miami, Florida State, and LSU still are the schools he's focused on moving forward. And there is still somewhat of a feeling that Antoine could end up as part of this LSU class. I want to say, before I even start, I know there's going to be this component of Why even take a commitment? Nobody's word means anything anymore. Okay. You can feel that way if you do, but I think if you feel that way, that's a two-way street because you flip guys who are committed to other places. So you're the beneficiary of that sometimes, and you're also on the short end of that straw at times as well. It's just how this game is played, and quite honestly, it's how it has to be played, especially now in the portal era. Remember, we talked about this a lot when Decorian Moore decommitted, and LSU is continuing to recruit him. And by the way, I still think there's a really good chance, as I understand, that Jaboree Antoine ends up at LSU, and I got much more on that in a second. But just big picture first. I think Shea Dixon said this, and he's right. It's never been more important to finish second in recruiting than it is in this era. Because a guy goes to a school, let's say he doesn't like it, he enters the portal. Well, if you had a great relationship and you recruited him throughout, there's a chance you get him on the backside. Maybe not, but it's why you continue to recruit guys. Also, yes, whenever recruits can decommit, so too can coaches purge players out of their class. I mean, I'll remind you, LSU had 2 cornerbacks committed last year in Andre Evans and Kai Bates. They got purged out of LSU's class, and they ended up signing P.J. Woodland and Bernard Causey instead. So it happens both ways. So you can roll your eyes and hate it, and I get it, but it's part of this. It's not going to change. So we just kind of have to accept it and roll on. So a few things here. First of all, it is a long way to go until December of 2024, right? Part of the 25 signing class, but the December of 24 would be the early signing period. We had a long way to go until December. So a long way to go still for Jaboree Antoine and a lot of these guys to get pen to paper and then get them on campus. So you absolutely still are in play for Jaboree Antoine, but there is also no doubt that this sucks. It sucks. He's a 4-star. He's the number 63 cornerback in America in the On3 industry rating. He's the number 63 overall player. 63 overall player, the number 6 cornerback, and he's the second best player in Louisiana behind Harlem Berry for the 2025 class. So this is a major, major player at arguably your greatest position of need, the position group that you have seen erode that you're trying to build back. And the other part of it as well, I mean, look, a year ago, you were 118th in the country in pass defense. Like, we all know it. I mean, I'm just spelling out what you already know. The pass defense was atrocious. And to this point, 2 years under Brian Kelly, your cornerback room has been made up of transfers and 3-stars. That's the fact of the matter. And you bring Corey Raymond back because Corey Raymond is the godfather of DBU. He's the guy that built DBU. He's the guy. I understand there were plenty of legacy players before Corey Raymond, but he's the one that took it to a different level and sustained it for a decade, okay? I'm not trying to get into that argument. But Corey Raymond also is from New Iberia. He played at LSU and is from New Iberia. Here's Jaboree Antoine from Westgate in New Iberia, who was committed, now is decommitted. That stings. There's a lot of other factors, ancillary factors associated with this that make it suck even more. And listen, DBU was built on players from Louisiana. I understand Patrick Peterson came from Florida and Jamal Adams came from Texas. I get it. They're great players. They're a huge part of what LSU is and has been. But when you look at the DBU era, Derek Stingley went to Dunham. Christian Fulton went to Rummel. Tyrann Mathieu went to St. Aug. Morris Claiborne and Trey White, both from Shreveport, Fair Park, and Green Oaks, respectively. Harold Simon was from Eunice. Dante Jackson was from Riverdale. Like, you built DBU on guys from this state. So I loved last year the 2 guys I just mentioned, Kai Bates and Andre Evans. I mean, you never want to see, it's the ugly part of recruiting, but it happens. But they replaced those guys with P.J. Woodland and Bernard Causey. Now, Woodland's from Mississippi, the Hattiesburg area, and Causey's from New Orleans. Tell me there's a guy from JFK in New Orleans who Corey Raymond says, I think that guy can play. All right, I'll take him over the cat from a private school in Orlando. I will. I trust the guy's eye for what he's looking for. But you got to be able to get the best players in the state at that position to stay home to continue rebuilding that room. So losing Jaboree Antoine for all of those reasons is a big deal. Now, he can still end up part of this class. Florida State and Miami are the other two schools. They have deep NIL pockets. He recently took that visit to Florida State. We'll see what it'll take to get Jaboree Antoine back in tow. But if this kid from Louisiana, from Westgate, being recruited by Corey Raymond, in-state school, had been committed, for whatever reason caused him to look around, you would hope between now and signing day, LSU has the resources to get him back as part of this class. And look, when you look to 2025, there's a lot of work to do in that cornerback room. You're going to lose Zy Alexander, but other than that, you're going to get – everybody still has eligibility. But it's J.K. Johnson, who'll be in a fifth year. Jair Brown will be in his fourth year. Toviano and Stamps in 2025 would be in their third year. And then these freshmen, Woodland, Causey, Foster, Turner, would all be going into year two. And then whoever you sign in this class. But the bottom line is I don't think any name I mentioned jumps off the page to say that's an elite-level talent right there. So one of two things has to happen, or both. The guys I just mentioned either have to improve dramatically or you have to drastically increase the level of talent, the influx of talent into this program at that position. This certainly doesn't help. A top 100 overall top 100 overall player, number 6 cornerback, Jaboree Antoine, decommits from LSU after what was otherwise a fantastic recruiting weekend for the Tigers. All right, our show open is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy in Louisiana with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR, the official beer of the LSU Tigers, official beer of the New Orleans Saints. And, y'all, at the end of July, Zach Bryan will be at the Superdome. If you want tickets, our friends at Mockler Beverage, Anheuser-Busch, and Bud Light got them for you. Go to the Mockler Beverage page and search Mockler Beverage on any of the social media platforms. You'll see the Zach Bryan flyer. There's a QR code. Scan it. That's how you enter to win your tickets to see Zach Bryan at the Superdome coming up at the end of July. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR. Okay, y'all, we will get to the commitments LSU got. Big-time edge rusher for 2025. We'll get to that start hour 2. The 2 commits they got for 2026, we'll get that start hour 3. We got a bunch of other stuff to sprinkle in. When we come back, college baseball is going to crown a national champion, but that storyline everywhere other than in College Station and Knoxville has eroded because of what's happening in Austin. So I want to talk about that when we come back on AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com. You can always get to the website or their social media. If you're making groceries and you're buying on a budget, remember, they always have their weekly specials. You can go to the website, hit the weekly specials tab at the top. You'll see their ad, what products are reduced price that week. So you can check it out there at Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. They're so good on social media as well. If you want RTDs or you want stuff to enjoy around the pool, or maybe you're making dinner tonight, our friends over at Rouse's have everything you need. Or maybe you don't feel like cooking tonight. Let Rouse's cook for you. So easy. Walk in to any Rouse's, go to the left. You'll see the hot bar. You'll see sushi, which is grab and go, already prepackaged. If you want other dishes already done, they got it for you. You want to grab a chicken tender meal, or you want to get barbecue with the sides, it's easy. And everybody in the family can get what they want. It's at Rouse's. The official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints, Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com. Rouse's, this feels like home.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, Windows, Doors, Siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Texas A&M and Tennessee are going to play tonight for the College World Series Championship. One of those schools will win their first title. We know that. That storyline's been talked about. As a matter of fact, Dave Dellucci will be with us here in hour number 3, right about at the bottom of hour 3. So it'll be just about an hour away from first pitch when he joins us. We'll get an update on the game. We'll preview all that stuff. But that is hardly the story around college baseball today. And there is a very real tie and reason why this story affects us here, especially if you cheer for, follow, love LSU baseball. And I will get to that here in a second. But the story first. Kirk Bowles of the Austin American-Statesman had it first, and he tweeted earlier today and had the report over at the Statesman. This was a little before 10 a.m. Central Time on Monday, that Texas had fired 8-year head baseball coach David Pierce. Pierce advised his team or informed his team, and then Chris Del Conte, the athletic director, later came out with a statement explaining why ultimately they made the decision to move on. This is the statement from Del Conte. He said, quote, "It was a difficult decision for both of us, but we've mutually agreed that we should make a change. I'm so grateful for Coach Pierce and all he has poured into our baseball program for the past 8 years." Okay. I think, all right, I'll go back. Around the time that LSU's season ended, as they were going toward regionals, Kendall Rogers was on the show. You might remember this. And he told us point blank on the show that he expected Texas was going to take their swing at Jay Johnson if they moved on from David Pierce. And what has become one of the worst-kept secrets around college baseball was that David Pierce was getting fired at Texas. It is something that I knew 3 weeks ago, and I don't even follow college baseball nationally or Texas. I don't cover Texas, and I knew. So point being, it was a horribly kept secret. Everybody knew this is the way they were going. Now, 8 years ago, when Texas hired David Pierce, it became a very long, drawn-out process where they kept getting told no. And then they landed on Pierce, and it ended up being kind of a public embarrassment the way that it happened. So Chris Del Conte was convinced that Texas was not going that route this time. They were going to have their guy in place whenever they made the announcement. So you'll announce today you fire David Pierce, tomorrow or within a couple of days, you're not starting your search. It's over. It's just a matter of now logistics when you make the announcement that it's happening and who it's going to be. And if you just connect the dots here with me, it's pretty obvious that who they're targeting or who they've agreed to a deal with in principle is one of two people. Because there's only two coaches still coaching. If they wanted to hire literally any other coach, they could have done it. Nobody else is playing. They could have already done it. So the only two remaining are the two clearly that they're targeting, and it's Tony Vitello and Jim Schlossnagle. Now, I will tell you that there is an awful lot of fire around Jim Schlossnagle. I mean, it is piping hot, like white hot around Jim Schlossnagle, that he's going to be the guy. And I don't mind sharing this with you, but after LSU season ended, that Saturday, at the Saturday after, when it was very clear Texas was going to make a decision and move on from Pierce, Texas did exactly what Kendall Rogers said. They called Jay Johnson, and they called Eric Bakich at Clemson, and they called Tony Vitello, and they called Jim Schlossnagle. And as I was to understand it, they politely were told no by everybody. I was even told that Texas was offering $2.5 million per year. When Jay Johnson won the Natty last year, he got a new deal, 7-year, $12.5 million deal. Averages out to $1.7, $1.8 million per. Texas, so just to illustrate how much more Texas was offering, right? But Jay Johnson staying put. Like, that got put to bed 2 weeks ago. And I understand Jay was asked about that, denied it, and plausible deniability is certainly a thing, and I respect that, and I'm not trying to insinuate anything. But I'm very confident to tell you that Texas did reach out, either to Jay, his representatives, to gauge interest, okay? And Texas had moved on, and the guy that had become their focus was Mark Wasikowski, who's the coach at Oregon. And then if you remember what happened in the Super Regional with Oregon and Texas A&M, Oregon, like, Wasikowski let Oregon's walk-in runs, and they lost the freaking game. I think that's when it became like, you can't go that route. So we'll see how this all plays out and what's transpired over the last 2 weeks, because I don't know. I'm telling you candidly, I have no idea what's transpired over the last 2 weeks. But very clearly, Chris Del Conte has made his run at either Tony Vitello or Jim Schlossnagle. Now, even if they have an agreement in principle, again, I want to be so clear about this, gigantic, bold, 72-point font _! You follow me? Because I don't know if he has all the conversation I've heard today, both on the record and off, is that it sure seems like Texas has targeted Jim Schlossnagle. And that feels like that's close to being done. But again, I don't know. If they have an agreement in principle, it still doesn't mean you get it done. Do you remember the best example I can give you is 2007 here. Les Miles was going to Michigan, y'all. Kirk Herbstreit wasn't wrong. Les Miles was going to Michigan. And then LSU won that game. Chaos happened. LSU gets in the national championship game, and he ain't going nowhere. Okay? Like, that was happening until it wasn't. I mean, LSU hired a softball coach from Alabama who stood at the podium, was introduced, and then like 2 days later was like, I think I made a mistake, went back to Alabama. Billy Donovan took the Orlando Magic job, was introduced, and was like, I think I made a mistake, went back to Florida. So if they have an agreement in principle, you still got to get it across the finish line. And there's no guarantee that happens. Like, what if Texas A&M wins tonight? Would Jim Schlossnagle really leave after winning the national championship? Like, you're going to go have the championship celebration without your coach? Maybe. Now, what a massive, massive flex this would be for Texas if this is the case. If we're just having a conversation here. You and me, we're having conversation. I'm not breaking news. We're having a conversation. What a massive flex it would be for Texas. And there is a tie here. Remember, Jim Schlossnagle was at TCU. Chris Del Conte was the athletic director at TCU for 8 years during Schlossnagle's tenure as head coach. As I understand it, they have a great relationship. And maybe the relationship between Schlossnagle and Trev Alberts, who's the current athletic director at A&M, isn't the best. Listen, it ain't a money thing. A&M can pay whatever Texas can pay. It ain't a facilities thing because A&M, even though Bluebell Park is gorgeous, they're building a new almost $90 million park in College Station. It ain't none of that. Maybe it's the relationship with Del Conte, and it ain't the team because A&M's team next year would be awesome again. You're going to lose Braden Montgomery. You're going to lose some key pieces, but you're going to get a ton of guys back. So, man, I'm just saying, if if this is what they are plotting, the year they come into the SEC to pluck away their biggest rival's head coach after playing for a national championship, that would be a major flex for the Burnt Orange in Austin. Again, if that's what they're plotting and what they pull off. But I am just using deductive reasoning here. Doesn't it make sense? If Texas was going to move on from David Pierce, why not do it weeks ago with all the transfer portal activity? You had a lame duck coach while all this portal stuff's going on? Of course you're gonna move quickly. You're gonna make your decision. Look at when South Carolina fired You had to move because the portal's going. You got to build your roster. They weren't just going to wait. Well, what are they waiting for? One of these two guys. Now, what I was also told is if one of these two guys gets cold feet, I was even told today that Skip Johnson from Oklahoma would be the backup plan. So Texas has their plan in place, right? They're just executing it, and you always better have a backup in case your first choice or second choice or fifth choice don't materialize. But the reason I'll tell you this is significant at where I started, significant for LSU, is because of the transfer portal. And as we look at where LSU is right now, when you've had more than a dozen players hit the transfer portal already, and you've signed, 5 pitchers out of the portal and 3 position players, you still got work to do to get up to a 40-man roster. Well, it's been stagnant right now in the portal. And you haven't seen the big-name prospects yet. Now, yeah, look, you're still in the mix for Gavin Killeen, the shortstop from Louisville. By the way, he was waiting to take a visit to Texas A&M after the College World Series. What if Jim Schlossnagle ain't there anymore? Is that a benefit to LSU? Maybe. Remember, Texas just fired their coach. That means all those Texas players have a 30-day portal window to enter the portal. If one of these two coaches, Schlossnagle or Vitello, or whoever takes the Texas job, whoever it might be, that school now has a 30-day portal window where its players can enter. You see my point? Now, all of a sudden, the portal gets kicked up again, and you have new players that are going to enter, and it allows Jay Johnson and his staff and every staff in America more of an opportunity to go recruit that talent in the portal. So this is one of those things where, man, you're like a puppy dog sitting at the table just waiting for the scraps to fall. I mean, you ain't involved in what's going on. Like, LSU ain't involved in what's going on with Texas firing David Pierce and who Chris Del Conte might hire and the domino effect there. It ain't going to affect LSU. But the dominoes fall, and there's going to be stuff. I mean, there's going to be a residual benefit to all schools that are still looking in the portal. And LSU still needs an option at shortstop. If Braswell leaves and they don't get Gavin Killen, they probably need an option at third base. You still need a third catcher. You need more arms. I mean, you need, and you might get as a result of what Texas did today and what may be coming after this game tonight. So, listen, Tennessee and Texas A&M playing for a national championship, respect. It's a massive stage for them. But wouldn't it just be part of that rivalry for Texas to try to steal their stage on the day of Game 3 to make this announcement and then to try to go pillage their coach? Doesn't it feel like all that makes sense, what they're doing? We'll see how it all plays out. You better buckle up, man, because the fireworks are going to be real. Brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. ShawBillsTire.com. I was at Shawbills today, regrettably. So we had the Battle of the Bands for Eagle 98.1 Friday night over at the Texas Club. Awesome event. Congrats to the Leif Mesh Band that won. Well, as I walk out of the Texas Club with Alondra Villarreal as my witness, because all of us left Texas Club, and my rear driver's side tire was flat as a pancake. I'd rolled over a bolt and tire was flat. So there I am. Alondra offered to drive me home, but I was like, I'll just put the donut on it. So I changed my tire, drive home, brought it to Shawbills. Guess what? Great news. No charge. They were able to repair it. No charge. Tell you, it's not just because I talk about it on the radio. That's part of the Charlie's Dozen. Buy a tire at Shawbills, they'll repair it for free for the life of the tire. Shawbills Tire and Auto Service. Any of the locations around South Louisiana. Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. Brought it over there. Actually, I went to the night drop box. Dropped the key in there last night. First up today. They called me a little after 9 a.m. It was ready to roll. No charge. we're able to fix the tire. So they're awesome people, man. You want to know why you keep going back year after year after year? Because they treat you like family. Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service. ShawBillsTire.com. Shaw Bills, we keep you rolling. All right, y'all. It's after further review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. Musso's at the beach, so Beck's filling in for Musso today. I think Alondra's here the rest of the week. I'm actually leaving for vacation on Thursday, and I'll be out Thursday, Friday, and then all next week. So it's kind of it's like everybody around here takes their vacations in June and July, because when August rolls around and Saints camp hits and then LSU hits fall camp, we're just snowed under until February. So we get our vacations now, and hopefully you're getting some downtime as well. All right, we got a lot to get to. You can email us, tweet us, or text us in the 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Lots of ways you can get involved in the show. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll go around the SEC. Got some Saints news. A potential safety target for New Orleans. We'll talk about it. It's coming up in a little bit. Stay here. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Y'all, I mean, it's 100 degrees outside today. Got in the car, heat index. It was 98 with the heat index over 100. Man, I'm telling you, if you are getting in your garden, you got to take care of your plants and your flowers and trees, your shrubs, all that stuff, and you're not sure what to do, if you're having issues, call Clegg's or go to Clegg's. Find someone in a blue Clegg's shirt. Their horticulturists are awesome. They have all the answers. If maybe you're looking to plant some flowers, but you want something that isn't going to need a ton of TLC if you don't have all the time, well, they'll tell you based on, how much shade you have in your yard, so to speak, like what you're looking for, what would be the best plant or flower to thrive in that space. They have all the answers, and they got the best selection as well. It's Clegg's Nursery. Get by any of the 4 locations: Seagan near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. For more than 60 years, Clegg's has been treating you right. So buy local, shop local, and tell them Matt sent you in to Clegg's Nursery.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
A little breaking news out of the LSU baseball program today. Josh Simpson is back on the LSU staff as an assistant coach. So Simpson was part of LSU's staff a year ago that won the national championship. And when Wes Johnson became the head coach at Georgia, he brought Simpson along with him there to Athens. Well, now 1 year later, he's back. Simpson is back at LSU in the purple and gold. He's effectively replacing Terry Rooney in an off-field role. Remember, Terry Rooney, who, when Simpson had left, along with Wes Johnson, Nate Yeske replaced Wes Johnson, and then Simpson was replaced by Terry Rooney. Now Rooney has gone with Paul Maneri to South Carolina, so Jay Johnson was able to bring Josh Simpson back now as an assistant coach, as the director of baseball operations. So he'll be an assistant coach with LSU. Worked this past year at Georgia, as he mentioned, and a guy that can certainly help. Was the operations director, can help with recruiting, maybe not necessarily off campus, but a guy that can help build the roster and all those sorts of things. A valuable asset for Jay Johnson on the championship squad. Now is back as well. So Josh Simpson, after a 1 year hiatus over there in Athens, is back in Baton Rouge. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad to have you aboard with us. Beck and Paul, you're hanging out with us here. Musso is at the beach, so he's out this week. We'll look forward to having Musso back next week as well. He'll be hosting while I'm out next week. So just vacation time. Y'all get it. All right, it's After Further Review. College World Series, we will talk about the game itself here in just a quick second, but we do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference. The Auburn Tigers.
Auburn's announced the signing of Colorado transfer defensive back Jaquez Robinson. Spent the 2023 season at Colorado after starting his career at Alabama. Auburn lists Robinson as a safety, but he did play some corner, nickel, and safety. He's got 2 years of eligibility remaining.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
Dontrell Glover is headed to Georgia, 6'3", 315-pound offensive lineman, committed to Kirby Smart and the Dogs. That gives him 14 commits for the 2025 class. They're number 4 in the team rankings right now.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Alabama football got a commit from offensive tackle Micah DeBose. Had previously been committed to Georgia. Decommitted in December, now has picked the Crimson Tide, the number 8 offensive tackle in 2025, the number 89 overall player. That's more like it, Kalen DeBoer. He's Alabama's 18th commit.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
4-star offensive lineman Mario Nash Jr. has committed to Jeff Levy and the Bulldogs. 6'4", 280. Had offers from Ole Miss, Bama, LSU, Colorado, Ohio State, Florida State, others. Big-time prospect. Number 18 overall offensive lineman in the country. So Jeff Levy and the Dogs are up to 17 commits.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Arkansas is up to 4 defensive line commits for 2025. They got Trent Sellers out of Mobile. 6'5", 240. Picked Arkansas over Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Nebraska, and others. The second commitment of the day, joining wide receiver Antonio Jordan.
Texas A&M!
Tristan Norman, a wide receiver, has announced his commitment to the Aggies. Had offers from Auburn, Georgia, Kentucky, Ole Miss, others. Pretty big prospect. Aggies now up to 15 commits overall.
The Florida Gators.
Well, baseball news here. Lefty Robert Satine and righty Riley Whitmer have both entered the transfer portal after just one season there under Kevin O'Sullivan. Satine made 10 appearances on the mound in his first season with the Gators. Whitmer made just 4 appearances. They are the 6th and 7th players, respectively, to enter the portal, and the Gators have added 5.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
And one more portal note. On the same day that Ole Miss lost a right-handed pitcher to the portal, they filled a pretty big void with a local prospect. BYU transfer catcher Colin Reuter has committed to the Rebs. Reuter is still draft eligible, but he's from Olive Branch, Mississippi. Went to BYU where he's played for 2 years, hit the portal, 6'3" catcher, now transferring to Ole Miss, will be closer to home, provided he makes it to campus and not the draft. He was honorable mention All Big 12 at 265 with 10 bombs this past year in Pro Bowl. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC, presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. We're heading into the summer months. Holidays are behind us, unless if your anniversary is coming up. And if it is, gentlemen, remember, you can always upgrade that diamond. whenever you're like me and you were young and broke and you're trying to afford a diamond ring, and you did the best you could. And it's a great symbol of your love. But as you move on and you get on in your professional career, maybe a few more means, how about you trade in that old diamond and trade up for an upgrade for the love of your life? They can help you do it at Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Get them by 9 locations. They got 2 in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport, 9 in all, or online at lmfj.com. lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. So Xander Sechrist is going to pitch for Tennessee tonight in the College World Series championship game. I am fascinated by how this game is going to play out. Paul, do you have the graphic from last week with me and Musso and Mincy? If you can grab it, I like to see. So we've had a pretty. I've had a pretty uncanny run. So Mincy joined me and Musso every Friday during this baseball season, and we made picks against the spread, part of our sort of DraftKings partnership as DraftKings partners. And y'all, I've never bet college baseball in my life. This is total beginner's luck. Like I genuinely don't have angles or anything like that. I was just kind of picking, just blindly picking. And what was my record, Paulie? All right, so I was 23-9-1. And by the way, we determined, so I went 4. Are we going to add, can we add my 4 to the graphic? Can you turn his mic on, please?
I can add it.
Okay. So I'd be 27-9-1. Musso's 18-19. Mincy was 19-21. And then we made our picks on Friday, right? And I hit that one because I had A&M in game 1. And so that hit. And then I had A&M winning the whole thing. So what was it again? It was 23-19-1. What was
23-9-1.
23-9-1. So I'm 27-9-1. Then the one from 28-9-1 is my season record against the spread. 28-9-1, which is absurd. And so I look at tonight, and people have been asking me, who do you like? I mean, I get it. Like, I'd ask me if I'd been riding a heater like that. And I don't know. I don't know if this is necessarily the headiest play. Like if I was a real bettor and my pick before the entire tournament started was A&M. We did our snake draft. I had the first pick. I picked A&M to win the whole thing. And so I'd probably hedge and put money on Tennessee to hedge to make sure I ended up turning a profit. But just specifically on this game tonight, I really like Texas A&M. Now, all of the hullabaloo around Jim Schlossnagle and the Texas job, does that become a distraction? I don't know. And we'll see what might happen there. But Sechrist goes tonight for Tennessee. And I think I just like A&M's ability with the bullpen, and especially with Aschenbeck having had a day's rest. I think A&M is just deeper on the mound today. And if it becomes an offensive game, which it always depends on the wind at that park, if it's blowing in or blowing out, I think I just think Texas A&M is going to get it done. I mean, if they have a lead, and they had a lead yesterday as well. I mean, 1-0, but they had a lead. If they have a lead and they're going to start Justin Lampkin and you have Aschenbeck in the pen, they get a lead and get to Aschenbeck, it's curtains. I feel like it's curtains anyway. So I do like it. I haven't even looked at the line tonight. Let's see. Beck, did y'all look at it with Hunt? Do you know what the line is on this game tonight? I haven't looked at it yet.
I have not looked at it. I'm seeing.
I got it. Here it is. So A&M is a massive underdog in this game. Tennessee is -245. A&M is a +185 underdog. Even on the run line, A&M is +114. And the total in this game is 10.5. I mean, I get it. I understand that Tennessee is the number 1 team and all that stuff. I think A&M with Lampkin and Aschenbeck is in a better position on the mound. I think they can hit. And I just think if Tennessee ends up in their bullpen, they're in trouble. So I like A&M. I think A&M is going to win the game tonight. And then shortly after, we'll see if their head coach leaves for their biggest rival. The best part about this as an LSU fan is you can just sit back, put your hand behind your head, kick your feet up, grab a beverage, and just watch the chaos. Just see what happens. I mean, maybe Schloss stays. Maybe Texas hires Skip Johnson from Oklahoma. I don't know how it's going to play out. But the dominoes are falling because Texas has fired David Pearson. They got to hire somebody, so someone else is leaving, and then someone else is going to leave after that. And so the portal is going to get kicked up again. It's just going to be fun to kick up your feet and watch how all the dominoes fall. All right, it's after further review. Our Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows, door siding, Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Let me knock out a quick break, wrap up hour number one. Could the Saints be targeting a former first-round pick at safety? I'll explain next. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Darren James and Associates, brokered by LPT Realty. LPT stands for Listing Power Tools. And I've told you over the last several months the meteoric exponential growth that LPT Realty has had. They've experienced in 1 year the type of growth that it took other major real estate firms a decade or more to experience. It's because the way that they revenue share and with their agents has attracted some of the best agents in the business. And then the Listing Power Tools gives the agents more tools, more collaboration to be able to get your home sold faster for more money. And when you throw Darren James in the mix, it's game, set, match. See, Darren James on the Wall Street Journal's list of the top 1% of realtors in America. Told you a couple of weeks ago, Darren this year, number 14 in America, number 1 in Louisiana. Why would you call anybody else? 335-7666 or agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
Value Ford has $10,000 off F-150. $10,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And all new Value Ford vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Value Ford is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Otter have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Otter MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
All right, wrapping up hour number one. So I like to read Pro Football Talk to see what Florio's got over there. There's a rumor mill section, and it's just a good way to follow news around the NFL every given day. And I came across this one earlier today and thought, that might be an interesting target for New Orleans. Obviously, at the safety spot, the Saints, it just didn't work out with Marcus May. They signed him to a deal. He missed basically a full season missed 17 games over 2 years, effectively missed a full season in the 2 years he was with New Orleans. And when he was on the field, wasn't very good. So you busted there. You missed there. And you drafted Jordan Howden last year, and he played pretty well. And you signed Jonathan Abram from the Raiders, and he played pretty well. And in tandem, they did well. But you were still short of body. And then they went and signed Will Harris from Detroit, who kind of gives you that guy who's been he's a young veteran who started and played in the league, can be a backup for you. You can play some special teams. You like it. And then you got your other guys, right? JT Gray, who's a special teamer, is going to make it. Some guys might be practice squad guys. But I still look at the safety position for New Orleans and think, okay, are Jordan Howden and Jonathan Abram like full-time, long-term options at safety? And I don't know that I can say that definitively. Maybe Howden. I don't know so much about Abram just because he's just a bit later in his career. And then Tyrann Mathieu is 32 years old, and you really legitimately have to start wondering at this point in his career how much longer he's going to play. So that's one of those positions where you have to start to think anyway about what the future at safety is going to look like for the New Orleans Saints. And Florio today had a piece up at Pro Football Talk where he started talking about Lewis Sine. And if you don't remember, Lewis Sine is a safety out of Georgia who was a first-round pick of the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I want to remind you of this because Lewis Sine actually was responsible for a viral moment that we had 2 years ago at our draft watch party over at Don Juan. One of the prop bets that Jimmy Ott had was over on the total number of defensive backs taken in round one. So they get to pick 32. It's the Vikings. It's the last pick of round one. And this needs to be a defensive back. And everybody is thinking it's going to be Malik Willis, the quarterback out of Liberty, who, of course, had a much longer wait, but we didn't know it at the time. So we caught this all live on our stream. So it's me, Ott, and a rather inebriated Charles Hannegriff, who's insisting that the pick is going to be Malik Willis. But this is how it all transpired.
Minnesota DB.
Oh, you need a Minnesota DB.
DB.
You know, this is Malik Willis. This is Malik Willis.
Can they list him as a DB?
This is Malik Willis 16 times. You know how fired up I would be. This is
very nice. All right, look at this guy. Can't win them all. It's all right.
All right, here we go.
It's all right.
All right, Otter, what we got?
Can't win them all. Can't win them all.
Here we go.
Can't win them all.
It's not Malik Willis.
Win them all.
I read his lips. It's not Malik Willis.
It's Hassan! It's Hassan! He got a DB!
All right. One of the most ridiculous moments, but those are the kind of moments that you can only get when you're hanging out with Jimmy Ott, who's sweating out prop bets at the draft watch party at Don Juan when you're 4 hours into a broadcast and everybody's been drinking all night. But Lewis Sine was the pick. So I will always remember the Lewis Sine selection by the Minnesota Vikings because it begot that very, very authentic reaction and moment. And yes, that was me screaming like a hyena. Anyway, but Lewis Sine has been a bust. There's no other way to say it. Lewis Sine has been a bust for the Minnesota Vikings. In his 2 years with the Vikings, Sine has played in just 10 career games in 2 years. He had a major leg injury. He had a compound fracture in his leg his rookie season in week 4. So he only played in those 4 games his rookie year before the leg injury. And then last year he came back and just wasn't good. He played in just 7 games. So he played in 3 games as a rookie. It was week 4, but he only played in 3 games. And then last year he played in just 7 games and mostly as a special teamer. In 2 seasons, he's played in 10 games and has 1 tackle. 1. That's it. In 2 years. A guy that was a first-round draft pick at safety. So it's just not gone well at all for Lewis Sine. And I'm not sitting here trying to suggest that Louis Sign could have a career resurgence in New Orleans and become some type of all-pro, but there was enough physical ability there to warrant selecting him with a first-round draft pick. And sometimes a change of scenery, a new defense, a fresh start is good for players. And when I look at the Saints, you are getting older at safety. And the thing about Louis Sign is while he's still on his rookie deal, the feeling, and this is what Florio wrote, is that he's not one of the 53 best players. Like he just on merit shouldn't make the 53-man roster. Now, sometimes because you used a first-round pick, sometimes you'll keep him around. There's not a big cost-saving measure there for Minnesota either if they were to cut him. But sometimes a change of scenery helps. And sometimes a high draft pick is Stanley Jean-Baptiste. And you used a second-round pick on him, but he didn't even make the roster in year 2 because kid just couldn't play. You missed. You whiffed. If that happens in Minnesota and they end up letting Louis Sign go, maybe that's a guy that the Saints could scrap off the trash heap and see if they can rehabilitate him into something in New Orleans, a spot where the Saints need to get younger. We'll follow it as we get closer to camp. All right, y'all. Monday show is brought to you by Relief Window. Sports Center is coming up. LSU lands a big 2025 defensive end. That's next.
AFR.
Brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com, southpointvw.com. The trade-in and trade-up event is still going on over at South Point Volkswagen, y'all. I've been telling you this the past couple of weeks. They have got to increase their pre-owned inventory. I tell you all the time, if you're looking to buy a used vehicle, go shop the used car lots. Make sure you shop South Point Volkswagen as well. Because they sell more Volkswagens than anyone, they get more certified pre-owned inventory than anyone. So right now, if you're looking for a used vehicle, go check out the lot at South Point Volkswagen. And if you're thinking about buying a new vehicle, you will get top dollar for your trade-in at South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland, or online at southpointvw.com for our friends in Lafayette. Southwest Volkswagen there as well. But Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer is right there on Airline just north of Highland at South Point Volkswagen. southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction?
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. The Oilers, led by the best hockey player in the world, Connor McDavid, could complete one of the biggest comebacks in sports tonight. With a win against Florida in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final, Edmonton becomes just the second NHL team ever to rally from a 3-0 deficit to win a championship series. And that would mean instant immortality for McDavid, believes ESPN NHL analyst PK Subban.
He gets put in the Hall of Fame. He gets put in a category of all-time greats, which is a select group. And then he has the shot, when it's all said and done at the end of his career, to potentially be at the top of that list. Now, I ain't saying any better than Wayne Gretzky. I am not saying that. Wayne Gretzky's the great one for a reason.
PK on First Take, Game 7, 8 Eastern, ABC. NBA, ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting Raptors franchise cornerstone Scotty Barnes intends to sign a 5-year max rookie extension. It could be worth up to $270 million. Woj is also reporting the Cavaliers hiring Warriors top assistant Kenny Atkinson as their next head coach.
Hey, it's Evan Cohen coming up Tuesday. Now that J.J. Redick is officially the new Lakers head coach, I'll tell you what he needs to do if they want to be title contenders. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Jacob Beck. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. We're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Our buddy Eddie Radosevich covers Oklahoma. He'll be here in 15 minutes. If you missed it late last week, Oklahoma extended Brent Venables 6 years. That feels like a giant risk for a guy who had a terrible first year, a good second year, but entering the SEC, hardly enough skins on the wall to justify that type of deal. But I want to talk about, of course, the Sooners are coming to Baton Rouge around Thanksgiving. So look forward to having Eddie here in about 15 minutes. It was a massive recruiting weekend for LSU. It had Friday Night Lights on Friday night in Tiger Stadium. Bryce Underwood was on campus. Some of the video that Shea and others posted was awesome. Throwing dimes to Harlan Berry. A sign of things to come in Tiger Stadium, which is really pretty cool. And the good news started rolling. On Friday, Richard Anderson, a 2026 defensive lineman out of New Orleans, came the first commitment for 2026. Saturday, LSU got a second commit for 2026, and wide receiver Ja'Kai Anderson, also out of the New Orleans area. And the Tigers also popped another defender for the class of 2025, and they went out of state to do it. Top 10 edge rusher Jesse Harold committed to LSU on Saturday. And there is so much to love about this. First, a little bit of the background on Jesse Harold. He is 6'7", 230 is what he's listed at. 6'7", 230. Well, actually, forgive me. 6'5", 230. 6'5", 230. I was looking at the wrong line. My apologies. 6'5", 230. He's a 4-star. The On3 industry composite has him as the number 100 overall prospect and the 15th best edge rusher. Now, to dig a little deeper, though, On3 says he's the 66th best prospect. 24/7 says he's the 73rd best prospect. Everything kind of got out of whack because ESPN ranks him number 209, whatever. And Rivals doesn't have him in their top rating, so whatever. Who do you trust? Whose evaluation do you trust is really the question. But as highly ranked as the 66th best player in the country at any position. This is significant for a lot of reasons. First and foremost, when you look at LSU's defensive line for the 2025 season, the edge rushers are an absolute must, supplementing that position. You're losing Savion Jones, who I think is poised for a massive year. Physically looks great and looks the part of a big left defensive end. You're losing Braden Swinson, who's your best, outside of Harold Perkins, is your best returning pass rusher. You're losing Paris Shand, who's a versatile guy, who's fast enough to play outside and who's physical enough to kick on the interior and be an inside pass rusher, interior pass rusher. So you're losing, outside of Perkins, you're losing your 3 best defensive linemen, rushers, and you're going to lose Perkins well at the draft. Now, you're going to return some talent. Deshaun Womack will be back for a junior season, presumably. And the 3 freshmen this year that a lot of people are high on, Gabe Relaford, Kalaj Cobbins, and then Dylan Carpenter, those 3 guys will all be going into their second year. But aside from that, that's it. So as much of a need as defensive tackle was this year in the portal, defensive end will be next year because you're losing your top 3 guys. And unless if you get the guys I just mentioned, Womack, Relaford, Cobbins, Carpenter, a lot of experience, you'll be high on talent, high on ability, short on experience. So you need to replenish that group. And this is a big part of it, getting Jesse Harold out of Florida to commit. But you will have to go get portal experience, experienced players out of the portal for 2025. The other reason that I think this is really important is it further illustrates something we talk about often with recruiting strategy. You hear me say all the time, the advantages, the dirt, and getting guys from Louisiana and putting the fence around the state. Putting the fence around the state isn't a unique thing to me. I'm not the guy who made that up. Nick was kind of the one who first said it. But we all have come to understand it. But I think Brian Kelly, my thesis has been Brian Kelly thought he understood it. It took being here for a couple of years to really understand and value the dirt, to realize how all in you have to be. Brian Kelly was in thigh-deep water in understanding the importance of Louisiana. You have to go cannonball into the deep end in Louisiana, which is what he's done now, right? Bringing back Corey Raymond, going and getting Bo Davis, obviously promoting Frank Wilson. Joe Sloan's a great recruiter from in the state. You understand. Brad Davis, obviously, your retaining was huge. But the point is, you've got to make Louisiana a priority. But similarly, when you have an opportunity to get elite level talent from outside of the state, you go get it. You don't go get guys out of the state just to get players outside of the state, because most of what you can find outside of the state, you can find inside of the state, and it's going to be dudes that would give an arm to play for LSU. I've given examples. You didn't need to go to Minnesota to recruit Jackson Howard. You didn't need to go to Las Vegas to recruit Jeremiah Hughes. You got Bernard Causey, who's a 3-star cornerback in New Orleans, who's a dog who wanted to play at LSU. I'd rather that guy over Jeremiah Hughes. No disrespect to Hughes. I hope you understand that. But when you have an elite guy outside of the state, you identify him, there's interest, you recruit him, you can get him, go get him. When you can go to Michigan and get the number 1 player in the country in Bryce Underwood, you do it. When you go to Arkansas and get the number 1 interior offensive lineman in the country, you do it. When you can go to Florida and get a top, the number 66 overall player, a top 10 edge rusher in the country, you do it. And that's what they have here with Jesse Harold. When you look at LSU's class for 2025, and look, Jaboree Antoine decommitting stinks. So they're back to 12 commits. They were at 13, they're back to 12. Well, with Jaboree Antoine's decommit, Jesse Harold is now the highest ranked defensive commit in this class for LSU. Yeah, you take that kid. Just like if you can go to California and get Eli Ricks, you do it. You can go down to Tampa and get Jesse Harold, you do it. And when I look at this LSU class, it's built exactly how it should be built. Of the 12 commits, you got 7 from Louisiana. 7 of the 12 from Louisiana. And then 1 each from Arkansas, Florida, Michigan, Mississippi, and Texas. The 1 from Florida is your highest-ranked defensive player, Jesse Harold. The 1 from Michigan is the number 1 overall player in the country. The 1 from Texas is Charles Ross, flirting with a top 100 overall linebacker out of Houston, which has become such a fertile recruiting ground for you for so long. The 1 out of Arkansas, Carius Kern, the number 1 interior offensive lineman in the country. The 1 from Mississippi is Tyler Miller, who's the 6th best player in the state of Mississippi, another big physical interior offensive lineman. Again, you can identify elite talent out of state that want to come here and you can recruit them. Do it. But focus on Louisiana and get top players from other states, and that's what they did here with Jesse Harold at a great position of need. Tigers got to get rolling on the defensive side. There's no doubt. You got 12 commitments right now, and just when you look at the defensive side, especially with the decommitment from Jaboree Antoine, the only you have 1 defensive lineman and 2 linebackers in this class, with as we mentioned, Charles Ross and Keelan Moses, and then Jesse Harold. That's it. It's only 3 of your 12 commits, only 3 on the defensive side. So they got to get going. But this was a good start here with Jesse Harold committing on Saturday to Brian Kelly and the Tigers. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Optimize, GeneratorPeople.com, GeneratorPeople.com. Y'all, storm season is here. Hurricane season is upon us. And you know as well as I do, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time before a storm. If it's a tropical storm, a hurricane, a depression, or if it's just one of those summer storms that we have, those pop-up storms, the power is going to get knocked out. It happens. It's part of living here. This is the time to prepare. Because trust me, if you call Optimize when the storm's in the Gulf, it's too late. Because there's a process that goes to getting the generator and getting it installed. If you're talking about a Generac automatic home standby generator, not only do you have to get it, but they got to come do a site visit. There's certain regulations where it has to be so many feet from windows or doors or things like that. What it's placed on. You have to call the power company. You got to get a permit from the city. So there's a lot of things that go into it. Now, Optimize handles everything. They make it super easy, and they're experts. But you got to start today. And if you thought, Matt, a home standby generator sounds awesome, but I can't afford it. If you have $600 for a down payment, you can afford it because they have financing options for any budget. Don't get stuck without power. Don't get stuck sweating. Don't get stuck uncomfortable or going to a family member's house. Let Optimize, the generator people, help install an automatic home standby generator. Go to GeneratorPeople.com, GeneratorPeople.com for Optimize. One more time, GeneratorPeople.com. Okay, it's After Further Review. Glad you're with us here on this Monday, presented by Relief Windows. We got a lot to get to here this hour. Ross Dellinger has a great piece up right now. All of the conference commissioners were meeting in Florida, and the thing that we've talked about on this show for about a decade now, looks like the wheels are in motion, that it's coming to pass. We'll talk about that coming up at the bottom of the hour. When we come back, our buddy Eddie Radosevich, he covers the Oklahoma Sooners. He's going to be here. Brent Venables got a big, fat new contract. Did Oklahoma jump the gun on that? We're going to preview the Sooners with Eddie Rado when we come back. It's AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Over the last 30 years, Gordon and his team have served more than 10,000 Louisianians, and they've recovered more than $2 billion in damages. If you've been injured in an accident and it's not your fault, do what injured people in our state have done for more than 3 decades. Get Gordon and get it done. I'll give you the phone number, but you know it. 888-8888, 888-8888. Or go to getgordon.com. And you may think to yourself, yeah, Matt, I was in a wreck, but I'm not a sue type guy. It's not about that. It's about making sure you get what you deserve from your insurance company to make sure that your vehicle is repaired or whatever happens there. If you do have injuries, to make sure that those responsible pay for it. You want an experienced litigator, and that's Gordon's team. So go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com, or call 888-8888. That's 888-8888 for Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Get Gordon and get it done.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Well, in a few weeks, we'll be in Dallas for SEC football media days. Texas and Oklahoma will be joining for the first time. And OU got a jump start on one of the big storylines this offseason. They gave Brent Venables a new 6-year contract here on the doorstep of the Sooners becoming a member of the SEC. I want to get some perspective on this. Our buddy Eddie Radosevich from Sooner Scoop, good enough to join us for a couple of minutes. Eddie, how are you, man?
Matt, my brother, what's going on?
Just enjoying this June day, man. Sitting back, waiting for the fireworks. They just flashed your picture up on the screen, which is the one of you in the blue Masters hat, where you're just staring like a lunatic. I always forget that's the one we use, and then I look up at the screen, see it, and then I just completely lose focus. Hey, I'm just sitting back waiting for the fireworks to see if Schlossnagle is actually going to leave A&M for Texas. You got a thought there?
Yeah, I do actually, because I think it would almost kind of directly impact Oklahoma and Skip Johnson, because I think that, I wouldn't say people in Norman are just super uneasy right now about the situation, but, if Texas were to strike out with their first couple of, options for Chris Del Conte, and all of a sudden they go back to a guy that, obviously has connected back to the University of Texas, having coached under Augie Garrido. I think it would definitely affect people around Norman and Skip Johnson's level of interest there. So definitely watching, and obviously it's great internet fodder between the A&M and Texas fans leading into what should be a really interesting championship game. So, yeah, it's been hella entertaining.
I mean, Eddie, I just tweeted that if Texas pulls this off, I just tweeted like if, right? If they pull it off, it would be one of the most amazing coups ever to steal your rival's coach like the day after they win a national championship or play for, right? And like the A&M people are melting in my mentions on Twitter, which is like, I didn't say it was happening. I said it's just a statement of fact. Like that would be great theater. I'd feel. I wouldn't feel one way or another, but it would be great theater.
Absolutely. I think they're just lashing out after seemingly at about 3:30 yesterday. I kind of just reserved myself thinking, all right, A&M's going to actually do this. And then to kind of, not necessarily choke it away, but give up that lead in the seventh. It was, it's probably some uneasy feelings right now in College Station in Omaha.
That's fair to say. Okay, the reason you're here, I wanted to ask about Venables and sort of Oklahoma coming into the league was, what was sort of the idea behind jumping the gun and being proactive and giving Venables this new 6-year deal?
Yeah, it was something that was always going to happen. For a lot of people around Norman, I was very surprised that people were almost kind of taken aback by it when it was the border region. At the end of the day, I mean, they basically added 2 years and gave him $1 million a year extra. And I think that it probably on the outside looking in, and certainly the way that, and no, I'm not taking a shot at him, but just the way that it was worded in Pete Thamel's tweet Friday morning, I think that there was a lot of people that thought, oh my God, you see the word significant, and I think that it probably raised some hairs on people's arms. But at the same time, I don't think that there was a lot of people around here that were just terribly taken aback by it. I think that, obviously Justy and the program wanted to make a commitment, and especially after turning it around in his second year in Norman. And maybe more than anything, just the optics of it, because you still look up and Oklahoma's head coaches and even in the top 7 in SEC head coaching, paid out. So at the same time, I think that you're just kind of keeping up with the Joneses, a little bit of inflation as well. And you get the announcement that they made on Friday.
So 2 years in, and that's a really important clarification. Effectively, they just added a couple of years to the deal, which also makes sense just for recruiting purposes, right? You always want to sort of stay ahead of the contract.
Sure.
But 2 years in, what is the temperature around Brent Venables with one very underwhelming season and then one pretty good season?
Yeah, I think that there's a general feeling around the program right now that they're headed in a very positive direction. I think that a lot of kind of the where things stand will be determined on where they are, in about a year's time after they go through the first year in the SEC. Now, with that said, I think that there's a lot of people that have looked at the schedule, and it's extremely tough. So I don't think that there's going to be any knee-jerk reactions. But at the same time, from what they've been able to do in terms of recruiting and putting together a roster that they feel can compete in the SEC, I think that they feel pretty good about that. Obviously, recruiting has gone extremely well. I think they're on the verge of, landing a 2026 quarterback probably within the matter of the next 20 minutes. So they feel like they're headed in the right direction. And I think that, the steps that they've made, particularly on the defensive side of the ball and from where it was when Lincoln Riley left, that they feel like they're really starting to kind of compete and get back to the level of expectations. So I would say it's a big positive headed into, obviously this season and kind of the unknown that is.
So Eddie Radosevich is our guest, Soonerscoop.com. You want to check him out. He's on Twitter at Eddie_Rado, R-A-D-O. I would have told you coming into this year that I was largely ignoring Oklahoma. Vegas had them 7.5 wins, right? It just, I think there's a transition there that could be tough. You mentioned the schedule, all those things. And then a couple of weeks ago, my audience knows because I've talked about this a bunch, FPI came out and they pegged Oklahoma as the 8th best team in the country and projected them to win 10 games and be a playoff team. Now, it's just one metric, but It's something that a lot of people look at. It made me do a double take and say, are we sleeping on Oklahoma? Is there more there this year than we collectively, anybody are giving? What is your feeling about this Oklahoma team with that 7.5? You talk to people around Oklahoma, I'm not talking about rabid fans, but just sensible people, and say, hey, The odds makers say over under 7.5, basically saying you're going to be 8-4, 7-5 first year in the SEC. What's the response to that?
I think it's what is the people in Vegas like, why is it so low? And I think that's the automatic, kind of answer. At the same time, I think that you start going through the schedule and you start looking at the kind of the quote unquote swing games that if you are going to get over that 7.5, that you're going to have to find ways to win. And I think that that's kind of where it becomes murky, because all of a sudden you look at a schedule that, you start looking through the top 20 in most of these preseason rankings, and, preseason rankings, separate conversation. I have my thoughts on that. But at the same time, there's going to be some pretty good football teams that Oklahoma's certainly going to have to play. It's different from what they're coming out of in the Big 12. And I think that that's where you kind of start wondering, okay, if you can get through Auburn, like who knows what, from the outsider coming into the SEC, don't really know what to expect in Auburn, not to mention that it's going to be Jackson Arnold's first, actual road start. There's going to be a lot of question marks. And I think that, they try to shore some things up on the defensive line. Obviously, the offensive line, it's kind of one of those things, like FBI is going to love it because they've returned so many starters. But at the same time, what are those guys actually going to be when they're needing to work together for the first time in a while after some of the guys that played on last year's offensive line, obviously left. So there's a lot of question marks, and I would say that they're big question marks. But at the same time, when you just get back to the kind of the metrics or the numbers of the guys that are returning and the number of starts that they are returning, especially on the defensive side of the ball, I think that they could be pretty good on that side of the football. And then obviously if Jackson Arnold performs it the way I think a lot of people feel like his ceiling can be when it's all said and done in Norman, they kind of make for an interesting team. I know that there's a lot of people that like what they did in the transfer portal here over the last couple of months, and obviously the way that they performed during spring. So it's going to be a fun year. And I think that, like, at the end of the day, that's kind of part of the excitement that Oklahoma fans have going into this new conference, is just kind of the unknown matched with a general belief that they are headed in the right direction on Brent Venables.
I got two more things. If this is a total hypothetical, I'm just curious your opinion. If Dillon Gabriel were still the quarterback of this team, what do you think that win-loss projection would be?
It's a really good question, because I think that there's a lot of that goes into returning a quarterback. Obviously because of the obvious that's out there with the position, but I think that Dillon operated in a fashion that he really got guys around him to maybe perform a little bit over their heads. And I think in like the echelon of quarterback that Oklahoma's had over the last decade plus, he's probably lost in it just because his name wasn't Baker Mayfield or Kyler Murray or Jalen Hurts. But at the same time, I don't know. I think I would probably, to answer your question, it could be around 8.5. I think you could give him a full game, with the veteran and just the presence that he had. Not to mention everything that came with. The guy was a winner.
Yeah, it's just so interesting, right? Because it was a 10-win team. It was a 10-win team, and to think even if you return Gabriel, you'd still be looking potentially at a game swing 8.5. It's there. I just think Oklahoma is one of the more fascinating teams because I do think they're going to play like 5 swing games. And if they all go well, it could be a really good year. If they all go badly, you're looking going, what is Venables doing? Chances are it probably factors somewhere to the mean, but that's why it's fascinating. Okay, last thing. What is, I think people here, like LSU's never had a rival, right? It's basically who's good at the time. There's no traditional. There's no Oklahoma, Texas. But I think a lot of people here are really excited about what Thanksgiving weekend could become with LSU and Oklahoma. What's the feeling there on that potentially becoming like the Thanksgiving rivalry game?
I mean, if you're asking me to come down every other year to Baton Rouge to spend Thanksgiving, absolutely. I think that would be absolutely unbelievable, not just for the football on the field, but also for, I think the nightlife and the fare that is served on Thanksgiving Day. But no, I think it would be definitely welcomed. I know that, obviously OU and Texas aren't going to ever move away from the Cotton Bowl in the second or first weekend in October. And I think that, there is this general, like if you would just get on Twitter today, I'm sure you can find OU and Missouri fans going at each other at their necks for basically meaningless stuff. So I think that kind of goes all the way back to the Big 8 days, though. And, I think for a lot of people, and especially my generation, don't necessarily look at Missouri as a quote unquote rival. So I think it'd be fun. Sign me up. Yeah, why not?
I'm very much looking forward to being in Norman next November.
Absolutely.
It's going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun, man. You know, like LSU got saddled with Arkansas for a long time. People resented it here. I think people enjoyed the back and forth with A&M, but you totally understand A&M Texas, that rivalry it's what it's going to be. So you concede like that's what it's going to be. So LSU and Oklahoma being attached at the hip by default may actually end up being a pretty cool thing. Looking forward to it.
It'd be great.
Looking forward to being in Dallas in a couple weeks, man. We'll see you there, and I appreciate some time today. Thank you.
Absolutely, Matt. Hey, real quick,
Yeah.
new SEC guy. Do I pull for somebody tonight,
No.
or do I just cheer that it's like a 0-0 game and it goes until the 15th and whoever wins wins?
You see, I'm not a cheer for the conference guy, Eddie.
Okay.
I look at it through the prism of what is best for LSU. That's what I look through that prism, and there is no winner tonight. So I would like for them to just cancel the game, call it a no contest, and they don't crown a champion. That would be a great scenario for me. The consolation would be one of these teams losing their coach to Texas tomorrow and their fans melting.
There you go.
Like that's what I would cheer for as well. So anyway.
There you go.
All right, man.
have
Thanks
them
for the time.
Yeah.
Be well. Eddie Radosevich, Sooner Scoop. Great. We met Eddie a couple of years back and was at Media Days last year. Awesome dude. We're looking forward to having him be a part of the show whenever we got to talk Sooners. All right, let me knock out a quick break. Ross Dellinger's piece today up at Yahoo, if you haven't seen it yet. The ball of the thing that I have said for 10 years is an inevitability, I believe has just started its slow creak to push down the hill. I'll tell you what I mean next. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001. Love sharing 5-star reviews. They get so many of them. This one was from Joey McDaniel, who said Joseph, his technician, Joseph was our service tech. He was very knowledgeable on every aspect that we asked questions about. Very friendly and respectful. You could tell he really enjoyed making customers happy, and I will ask for him next time I need anything done to my heating or AC. River City's 1 Hour Air is lucky to have Joseph as an employee. That's another 5-star Google review. How many times do the contractors or technicians come to your house that you're comfortable and confident giving that type of review? Well, when it's River City's 1 Hour Air, the answer is all the time. They got more than double the amount of 5-star reviews of the next closest competitor because they've been the best for 40 years. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with a giant clock on the side. 752-0001.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be, where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
We'll do Tigers and the Pros coming up here in about 15 minutes from right now, and I do want to circle back to some more recruiting news. Excited. Shea Dixon's going to be here tomorrow, and he'll recap everything, but we've already talked about Jaboree Antoine decommitting. We talked about LSU landing Jesse Harold, the big four-star defensive end out of Tampa, and at the top of next hour, I want to talk about the two 2026 prospects that LSU got, and Tigers also got a baseball commit over the weekend. What's next for Jay Johnson, the portal? We got a ton to do, so we're about halfway home on the show. We're glad to have you aboard with us. We always appreciate our friends at Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, Relief Windows, and ReliefWindows.com. So Ross Dellinger has a piece up at Yahoo today, and I retweeted it a bit ago and would highly recommend that if you're in any way interested in this sort of content, you go give it a read because I think Ross did a fantastic job. The headline is, with the future of college sports uncertain, one thing is clear: an official and permanent split of NCAA Division I is here. I have for years now, about a decade, maybe longer, on this show, said this. I've said it clearly, and I've gotten weird looks and eye rolls and people who don't understand. And as we move now through the NIL era, and more of this, we see the settlement from the House and the NCAA, it's becoming clearer, but it is something that to me was very clear more than a decade ago was an inevitability. You are going to have a division of Division I. The haves and the have-nots have always existed. It's only a matter of time before the pressure to raise funds and spend was so great that it broke the little guy. And that's what's continued to happen. Go back to the cost of attendance argument years ago, to now with NIL, to what's coming with the revenue share. I've said it this way for so long. LSU and ULL are not the same and never will be. Look outside of Louisiana. It's not a shot at anybody. Florida and Central Florida are not the same and never will be. Texas and Texas San Antonio are not the same and never will be. When you're talking about athletic departments that generate 9 figures of revenue annually, when you generate 1/10 of that number, you cannot compete. They're not the same. But what we've had for decades and decades is a sham. It's been a money-making scheme. That's what college sports are. That's what mainly college football has been. Why did we add a 12th game? Not because you're aching to watch LSU kick the holy hell out of Nichols 6 days after they play a game we all want to see against USC, because it's another gate. It's another TV window to sell. It's always been about money. And Nichols will come get the holy hell kicked out of them because they need the money. You know that intuitively. We talk about it all the time. But it's not about competitive balance. It's not, you need a breather week. Why? If everybody plays an equitable schedule, you don't need that game and nobody wants to see it. This was always an inevitability. And now we're here. So the 28 conference commissioners in Division I are meeting in Florida, down in Naples. And Ross starts this piece by saying that Charlie Baker, the head of the NCAA, and the 4 commissioners of the SEC, ACC, Big 12, and Big 10 met in a room at the Ritz-Carlton, and the other 28 Division I commissioners didn't even know that the other 4 were meeting with Charlie Baker. They're effectively doing their own thing. One conference commissioner told Ross Dellinger, quote, "I didn't even know they were meeting. Of course, they are cutting us out of it." They are, and they should. This has always been a sham, a farce. The structure has always been a house of cards, waiting for the stiff breeze that's going to blow it down. And it's now here. And so you continue to read through this piece, and effectively they're saying very plainly, like, this is happening. The 4 power conferences are going to break away and be completely autonomous from the rest of Division I, which is exactly how it should be. And one of the attorneys, Jeffrey Kessler, in that settlement said, quote, "Here's what people have to get in their heads. The Power 5 schools are not like everybody else. The reason we get tied in knots is because we conflate those schools who have developed these gigantic independent commercial businesses with the schools who are just still educational institutions with extracurricular activities." That's the bottom line. They're not the same. They never have been. And now the ton of bricks that's going to break the camel's back is revenue share. The Big Sky commissioner is named Tom Wistrcill, Wistrcill, whatever. And Tom told Ross Dellinger, quote, "I'm looking at a 10% operating budget cut so that money can go to their former student athletes as part of the settlement. In the system we've created, some schools and conferences are doing really, really well. Good for them. Some are struggling. It's because they're trying to keep up with the Joneses. The Big Sky can't afford to play in Division I unless if you pull back the halves. And there's no way Texas and Alabama and LSU and Michigan and Ohio State and Penn State and all the schools with history and revenue and budget and brand, there's no way they're going to stop their growth because of the Big Sky. Nor should they. The Big Sky needs to go play with people that are comparable. It's why we have weight classes in fights. It's why we have classifications in high school. A school with 2,000, an enrollment of 2,000 is different than a school with an enrollment of 200. They are not and never should ever be considered the same. That's why we have classifications, for equity. Go fight someone your own size. And we're heading there. It's happening. And the way Ross wraps up his piece today is about how these Power 4 conferences are starting to imagine the structure of what their independent division will look like. And Ross finishes by saying, not in that meeting, of course, were the other 28. There is much uncertainty about college sports' future. One thing is clear, a more official and permanent split of Division I has arrived. And that's a great thing. It's a great thing. It's a great thing for fans because you're going to get a product that you actually want to watch. It's going to be a great thing for the student athletes because they are going to get to share in the revenue they deserve. And it's going to be a great thing for the smaller schools because they're going to be able to compete on a level that allows them to compete. If the G5 would have separated years ago and created its own national championship, its own league, that's something that could, in theory, be thriving. Instead, they said, no, what we would rather do is get our ass kicked twice a year for a check and then beg for one team out of our entire 5 to be gifted an opportunity to play in your championship. How about you just go create a championship that's equitable and go win at your level? Like Division II does, like the FCS does. There's going to be a new division. and it's going to be great. And the thing that I've told you is going to happen forever is you're going to have college football exist on its own. That day is coming. It is inevitable. College football will just be college football, where the 40, 50, 60 teams, whatever it is, all play each other, have their own TV rights. It's not SEC, Big Ten. That ain't even going to exist anymore. It'll be like North, South, East, and West or whatever. It's going to be structured like the NFL is structured. You can say you hate it, but you know what? You give me a 10, 11, 12 game schedule of nothing but teams I want to see play and an actual real playoff with home games on campuses. Yes, that is a far more appealing product than watching an undefeated Florida State not even get a chance to play because a bunch of goons in a hotel ballroom in suburban Dallas said they didn't decided for them they didn't deserve a shot. Yeah, give me that. It's going to be a better reality, and it's here. Really good piece by Ross if you want to go check it out. And I can read it crystal clear, even if we put it on the screen up there, because I went to the Williamson Eye Center. 924-2020, 924-2020. Hey, y'all, summer is here. I know a lot of people are getting out, taking your summer vacations, and you should, but remember, the school year is going to be starting before you know it, and our friends over at the Williamson Eye Center can help you with your kiddo's eye exam. Remember, before back to school rolls around, it's a good time now, before it's super crowded and hard to get in, and you're super busy because you're getting supplies and buying summer reading stuff, and all. Like now, at the end of June, when you got some downtime, book that appointment, that eye exam for your kiddos and for yourself over at the Williamson Eye Center. Locations all over Greater Baton Rouge, the newest down in Lutcher in the River region. So check them out at the Williamson Eye Center. WilliamsonEye.com. Book your appointment, WilliamsonEye.com, or call 924-2020, 924-2020 for the Williamson Eye Center. All right, y'all, let me knock out a break. We'll come back. We'll do Tigers and the Pros. Busy 5 o'clock hour, still straight ahead. David Dellucci is going to be here in 45 minutes. We'll get David's thoughts on Texas A&M and Tennessee for the national championship in college baseball tonight. A couple of SEC teams who he's covered all season long. So we'll get Lucha's thoughts on the matchup coming up here in about 45 minutes from right now. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
Hey, mark your calendar if you haven't done so yet. Friday, July the 5th. Friday, July the 5th. Is the next Evenings at the Renaissance. You've heard me for months and months and months now talk about the Renaissance Hotel right there on Southtown and Bluebonnet, right? Southtown and Bluebonnet, just near I-10 across from the mall and Perkins Road, kind of between the two. But always tell you about how if you're looking to host your event, the Renaissance Hotel, they're in the business of saying yes. But if you just want to go experience the Renaissance, experience Tallulah inside the Renaissance, Evenings at the Renaissance is great. It's a complimentary spirit tasting event. So coming up on Friday, July the 5th, so it's a week from Friday, it'll be Cantera Negra Tequila. Taylor Calandra actually featured this a couple of weeks ago here on AFR, on our Whiskey Wednesday segment. So complimentary spirit tastings, enjoy some great cocktails, enjoy Tallulah right there at the Renaissance Hotel next Friday for Evenings at the Renaissance.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
LSU got its first 2 commits for the class of 2026 over the weekend. We're going to get to that here in about 12 minutes or so after SportsCenter. Right now, Jacob Beck has Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
Alrighty, first one here. Sammy Burns finished tied for 55th at the Travelers. Not a great showing for him.
Leading off with a little golf. Huh?
Still made $44K, so not a bad day at the office for him. Still 25th in the FedEx Cup. Go to the Diamond. Alex Bregman, 0 for 4.
Wait, hang on. So Burns made 40. That was his take. It was $44K.
Yep.
Do you think he lost money on the weekend? Travel, lodging, food. Because you know he ain't staying with respect. He ain't staying at a motel.
No, he's not.
And fly, get your coach down there, your caddy. You got to pay your caddy, right? Yeah. You pay out to your caddy as well.
It was probably close to breaking even, I would guess, maybe.
I bet he lost money.
Might have.
I bet he lost money.
He's made a lot of season. Anyway, moving on to the Diamond. Alex Bregman, 0 for 4 on Saturday. Stroh's got the win 5-1, but on Sunday, 4 for 4, 2 doubles, 2 singles with a walk, and Astros win again 8-1.
What's he batting now?
It's like 250, I think, somewhere around there.
He was struggling early.
He started to pick it up a little bit.
Let's see. I got it right here. Let's see. Bregman is up 257.
Yep.
9 homers, OPS of 732. I would love to see his splits. Like, what's the last month?
Yeah, I was going to say he's done better this month. Astros overall, they won their 5th straight on Sunday, so they're starting to play a little bit better ball.
Here you go. In March, let's see. In June, so we went from 200 in March to 218 in April to 221 in May to 364 in June so far. Yep. Awesome. 343 over the last 30 days.
Yeah, Astros overall have been playing a lot better.
Attaboy.
Moving on to the Reds, Jake Fraley got a start on Saturday, 2 for 4 with a few singles. They won big 12-1. He's hitting 278 on the season, not starting regularly, but solid season so far for Mr. Fraley. DJ LeMahieu has really struggled this year with the Yanks. He was 0 for 3 on Sunday. They still got the win 8-3. Aaron Boone was ejected for the 4th time this season, but he's hitting just 185 on the season.
He's hurt.
So, yeah, hopefully he can turn around maybe in the second half. And last but not least on the Diamond, Paul Skeens had a terrible outing. Went 7 innings, 8 strikeouts, 1 walk, 1 earned run. And that was just a home run to Yandy Diaz. But
you were being facetious.
I was being facetious, yes. He was incredible, as he has been all season. But in true shocking fashion, the Pirates lost 3-1 to the Rays.
I fear they have given him good run support up until this point. Like, that was obviously not very good. Look, they're wearing those ugly yellow uniforms, too. Look at this.
The mustard.
102. Check this out, Paulie. 102 in the 7th. Check this out. He pops 102 in the 7th. It's so ridiculous. I'm really curious. Are you done?
No. Well, we had one more.
Yeah, good. Sorry. Good.
And I think you had some video for us here. Joe Burrow and Justin Jefferson walked the runway at the Vogue World Fashion Show in Paris, and Burrow and Jefferson both wore black tuxedos, but Joe had a little bit of a different take on his. And
there it is.
And if you look at the back of his tuxedo, it's
gone.
It's missing a little bit of the jacket there.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's almost like the back is gone. Like the only piece in the back you'd see, he's wearing a backless vest.
Yes.
And so that's just the clasp of the vest around the back.
That's it.
There's no back to the tuxedo.
Nope.
I mean, he's Joe Burrow. It kind of feels like he could do no wrong in these parts, but questionable.
That's Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by Parrish Construction and Roofing. ParrishBuilt.com. ParrishBuilt.com. Y'all, storm season is upon us, and you know there's only two ways to know if you got roof damage. Let us come give you a free, no-obligation roofing inspection, or wait till it rains and get water in your house. There's an easier way to do it. Love telling you about Fortified Roofing as well. The state of Louisiana has pumped another $4.5 million into Fortified Roofing programs. So if you're interested, let us help you get qualified. It's a $10,000 grant to fortify your roof. Check it out. We can help you learn more. Go to ParrishBuilt.com, ParrishBuilt.com for Parrish Construction and Roofing. Same phone number, 364-1007, 364-1007, or ParrishBuilt.com. The other thing, too, I don't know if you saw, but Olivia Dunn apparently was there at the game.
Yeah.
So Paul Skeens and Olivia Dunn. What's the river there by the stadium in Pittsburgh? It's Three Rivers, right?
Sure,
but
yeah.
I don't know what river that is. Anyway, they were on a boat right there by the stadium. And
Looks like a nice time.
Living their best life. We're late. Hit it.
AFR.
All right, putting a button here on hour number 2, brought to you by Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com, Michelli.com, with locations from sea to shining sea, now in 12 different states. If you weigh or measure something, Michelli sells, services, and rents the products you use to weigh and measure. They are our nation's largest distributor of scales, but if you have precision measurement equipment that needs to be calibrated, you need Michelli. Why in the world would you ship your equipment to some lab in Chicago? Why would you do that? Michelli's local. Wherever you are, they're local. And they also have their mobile calibration labs. So they can come to you. If you have equipment that can't leave or you don't want to leave your facility, Michelli can come to you. Or they can come get your devices, bring it back to their lab, calibrate it there, and then bring it back to you to save you time. They're efficient. They have ISO 17025 accreditation available as well. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. 76 years. Michelli.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Otter have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Otter MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. The Stanley Cup will be in the building once again tonight, but unlike the previous 3 games, it's there for both teams. The Panthers host the Oilers in the winner-take-all Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Final. Florida's trying to win its first cup and avoid becoming the second NHL team ever to blow a 3-0 lead and lose a championship series. Former NHL forward and TNT hockey analyst Paul Bissonnette.
Florida Panthers have played a certain style and imposed their will on teams all season long. This is really the first time you're seeing where their game plan going in isn't seem to be working, where Edmonton has made those adjustments. So let's see what Florida can do in order to adjust to figure out Edmonton.
Game 7, 8 Eastern on ABC. NBA, according to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, Raptors franchise cornerstone Scotty Barnes intends to sign a 5-year max rookie extension, could be worth up to $270 million. Also from Woj, Cavaliers hiring Warriors top assistant Kenny Atkinson as their new coach. De'Arca Hamby will replace injured LA Sparks teammate Cameron Brink on the U.S. women's 3-on-3 Olympic basketball team.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your car, home, motorcycle, commercial auto, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at progressive.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I expect.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
Jacob Beck. And Mr. Toby Tom Plate. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. David Dellucci, bottom of this hour. We'll preview tonight's Game 3 of the College World Series Finals, Texas A&M and Tennessee. And I got to get Lucha's thoughts of what's going on over in Austin. If you haven't heard today, Texas has fired Coach David Pierce, one of the worst-kept secrets around college baseball. And it was understood that Texas was going to sort of not fire David Pierce and then have a long, drawn-out process. It was going to be a fire, hire in close proximity. So you better believe Texas has their guy. And if they waited until today to make that announcement, it would stand to reason that they were waiting on one of the two guys coaching tonight. Otherwise, why wouldn't they have already made the move, especially with the portal? I mean, time is of the essence. Well, if you're waiting on one of those guys, Tony Vitello or Jim Schlossnagle, and can you imagine if Texas coming into the league year one in the SEC is able to pluck Jim Schlossnagle away from Texas A&M? I'll remind you, Chris Del Conte and Schlossnagle have the AD at Texas. They have a great relationship. Del Conte was the AD at TCU for a long time when Schloss was the head coach there. Listen, money is no option for either of these teams, like for either of these schools. They both have more money than God. It's not going to, like, Texas is going to be willing to pay, and whatever Texas would pay, A&M could match. You could, but will you? I'll remind you this. In 2018, Texas tried to hire Texas A&M tried to hire Dave Aranda away from LSU, and they were going to make him. They made him a very, very, very handsome offer. LSU made Dave Aranda the highest-paid assistant coach. First time an assistant went over $2 million. Texas A&M could have matched that. Could have bested it by tenfold if they wanted to, but you have to want to. Like, at what point are you willing to say, I'll step away? We'll see. Anyway, again, be very clear. I'm not breaking news. I don't know. I was told, and I talked about this in hour number one, told weeks ago that Texas, it's horribly kept secret. Everybody knew David Pierce was getting fired. And that Texas was interested in 4. It was Schloss, Nagel, Vitello, Jay Johnson, and Eric Bakich at Clemson. And they politely declined several weeks ago, but clearly Texas continued in their pursuit, and apparently they landed on one of these 2 guys, I would presume anyway. And as I'm told, if it's not one of those guys, Skip Johnson at Oklahoma could be the fallback if there's cold feet along the way. But it is going to be amazing theater, not just for this baseball game tonight, but what transpires after. And then no matter what happens, Texas players now have 30 days to enter the transfer portal. So with David Pierce being fired, and whoever Texas hires, that school will no doubt lose players into the transfer portal with their coach leaving. So there's going to be another portal sort of resurgence here in the next week because the portal window closes on July the 2nd, so a week from tomorrow, Tuesday. So buckle up. It's going to be great theater here over the next week plus. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. Monday shows is always brought to you by Relief Windows. Windows, door siding, Relief Windows, and reliefwindows.com. Friday and this weekend as a whole, awesome weekend recruiting-wise for LSU until Sunday night when Jaboree Antoine decommitted. But until then, man, Bryce Underwood was in town on Friday throwing dimes to Harlan Barrett. It was awesome. Tigers ended up picking their first 2 commits for 2026. It got started off on Friday evening with Richard Anderson out of Edna Carr. So keep in mind, when I say class of 2026, these prospects are rising juniors, meaning they just finished their sophomore year of high school going into their junior year. So keep that in mind. Think about how big were you as a high school junior? Like, I was an offensive lineman, and as a junior, I was probably like 5'11", 215. This cat is 6'3 and a half, 325, going into his junior year. Richard Anderson is the 7th best player in Louisiana for the 2026 class. He's the 9th best defensive lineman in the country for that class, and he's ranked number 117 overall by On3. So, a really good prospect that's got offers from darn near everybody. LSU, Florida State, Ole Miss, Oregon, Miami, Southern Cal, Auburn, Arkansas, TCU. You get the point. He's huge. He's got offers from everybody. And we all know Carr is a factory. They just pump talent. Look, Teron Francis is a guy that's committed for this year's class, the wide receiver. And there's another Edna Carr prospect, safety Aiden Hall, and defensive lineman Corey Adams are players from Carr for 26 and 25, respectively, that LSU is in the mix for as well. So, yes, the pipeline to Carr has been from Carr to LSU has been fruitful, and here's another one with Richard Anderson. So, 2 things. Of course, it's worth mentioning. You have a long way to go until December of 2025, right? So, for the 2026 signing class. Long way to go. But LSU needs 2026 in the state to be fruitful for LSU. The 2026 recruiting class in Louisiana is a bumper crop that you seldom see. And when you look at Louisiana for 2026, and we've gone over this before, and we're going to keep going over it because it bears mentioning and reminding. Jakeem Stewart out of St. Aug, the number 3 overall player in the country. Lamar Brown, offensive lineman out of U-High, the number 5 overall player in the country. Blaine Bradford from Catholic, a safety, number 15 overall in the country. Bryson Martinez, offensive lineman from EA, number 40 overall in the country. Aiden Hall, who we just mentioned from Edna Carr, the safety, number 46 nationally. Jaboree Max out of Destrehan, number 75 nationally. And then Richard Anderson, who we just mentioned in the composite, number 131 nationally. Then after that, Dylan Berriman, a defensive lineman out of Ouachita, and Darius McKinley, Dominic McKinley's little brother out of Acadiana. That's the top 9 players in the state. And then Alvin Celestine out of Homa Terrebonne is also a 4-star. That's your top 10. That's your top 10 in the state. And of those first 9 I mentioned, 8 of the 9 are all thought to be heavy LSU leans. Actually, now all 9 are thought to be heavy LSU leans. Jaboree Mack, the wide receiver out of Destrehan, was, until this weekend, thought to be a Mississippi State lean. I'm going to remind you all of this. All of LSU's national championship teams, 03, 07, and 19, and you can even talk about 11 as well, which played for a title and really got hosed. But those teams were built around elite recruiting classes in the state of Louisiana. We can go back to the 01 class. Michael Clayton, Marcus Spears, Andrew Whitworth, Marquise Hill, Rudy Neiswanger. Louisiana guys that became the core of that 03 championship team. That 2011 signing class, Jarvis, Odell, Freak Johnson, Lyle Collins. I mean, think about the 09 class, which was the 08 class, no, the 09 class, which was the number 1 signing class in the country, which became the core of that 2011 team. So, man, yes, when you have that in that cycle, a bumper crop in Louisiana, you've got to nail it. Those classes become the core of LSU's championship runs. And you have one in 26, so you got to get these guys, and it's a really good start. I understand. Long way to go. But I loved one of the things Richard Anderson said, which was, easiest decision I ever made. He told Sam Spiegelman, easiest decision I made. Stay home. So, love that. And then a day later, they landed another Anderson. I don't believe there's any relation to my understanding, but another Anderson from the city of New Orleans. This time it was Ja'Kai Anderson. So one of the caveats you got to understand here about Ja'Kai Anderson, he's listed as a 3-star safety, but LSU is recruiting him and has offered him as a wide receiver. And this is an important distinction because this, again, a guy who just finished his sophomore year of high school, 6 foot, 160 pounds. He's not done growing, but you often see this in high school where guys will play the position that their high school team needs them to play to have the most success, but it may not be where they project. Josh Reed was a high school running back who became a Biletnikoff Award winner at LSU. Lyle Hitt played defensive line at Parkview, came to LSU. They had injuries, switched him to offensive line. He became a 3-year starter on the offensive line, was a starting guard on the 07 national championship team. It happens where guys they play one position in high school and they're recruited to play a different position in college. So, essentially, do you trust Cortez Hankton to look at Ja'Kai Anderson and say, we like your skill set, we think you're a receiver? I do. And to be clear, when we start looking at 2026, I have no idea what LSU's receiver room is going to look like in 2026. Just for context, in 2026, if he's still here, Shelton Sampson would be a senior. So like Kyron Lacey, Chris Hilton, CJ Daniels, Xavion Thomas, all those guys would be long gone by the time you get to 2026. So I don't know what it would look like. But here's what I also know. I went back and looked at the top 2 receivers for LSU every season. Do you know how far back you have to go to find one of the top 2 receivers at LSU that was not from the state of Louisiana? You know the answer? It was Terrence Tolliver in 2010. It's been 14 years since LSU had one of its top 2 receivers that wasn't from the state of Louisiana. I'll go through the list. Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas last year. Neighbors and Booty in 2022. Booty and Jeray Jenkins in 21. Booty and Marshall in 20. 19, it was Chase and Jefferson. 18, it was Jefferson and Stephon Sullivan. 17, DJ Chark, Russell Gage. 16, Malachi Dupree and DJ Chark. 15, Malachi Dupree and Traven Doral. 14, Doral and Dupree. 13, Jarvis and Odell. 12, Odell and Jarvis. 11, Ruben Randall and Odell. And then back in 2010, it was Terrence Tolliver and Ruben Randall. 2010, 14 years ago, was the last time a receiver outside of Louisiana was one of LSU's top 2 receivers in a season. So my point is, this state pumps out receiving talent. And if you identify it, go get it because it works out more often than not. And Ja'Kai Anderson could very well be the next. So the first 2 commits for 2026 are on board, and that's got to be a massive class that is rooted in the state of Louisiana. All right. It's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Evermore. As a matter of fact, clear my throat. Hang on. Been having to clear my throat. Get a little sip of Evermore. I told y'all before, I've made that change in my life. We drink Evermore in our family now. We buy the 4 packs of 64-ounce. You get the 12 packs of the 20-ounce bottles. You get 32-ounce bottles as well. This one here on set is a 32-ounce bottle. Evermore.com if you want to buy it online. EVAMOR, Evermore.com. Or, of course, you can go to great local retailers. By the way, they have national distribution. So if you're listening to us outside of Louisiana or watching, I had a buddy text me this weekend who lives in Illinois who sent me a picture. He was at a grocery store in Illinois, sent me a picture of a bottle of Evermore. He's like, buying it for the first time. Let's try it out. Evermore. It's natural, artesian water. You want a healthier option for your family. Don't buy water from Texas. Don't buy water from a foreign country in a little square bottle. Buy a great Louisiana product. It's Evermore. EVAMOR, Evermore.com. All right. I got a break. We'll preview tonight's Game 3 of the College World Series Finals with David Dellucci in 15 minutes from right now. Jay Johnson did get good news on the recruiting trail over the weekend. I want to talk about that next. It's AFR.
AFR.
I had an awesome meeting on Friday over at Glow Resources. Man, Glow Resources is just such an impressive organization. And at Glow Resources, I've told you about so many of the services they offer when it comes to you, the business owner, looking to hire. But what you may not know is Glow Resources specializes in professional placement, their professional placement division. Had a chance to sit down on Friday with Casey, and man, she was so impressive, her knowledge inside and out of exactly what they do and how they appeal to you, the business owner. So if you're looking for office administrator staff, accounting, HR, marketing, managerial, supervisor roles, they can move quickly at Glow Resources based on your timeline. If you need to hire, they'll perform a deep dive into the market analysis. They'll give you up-to-date market data, and they'll find those hard-to-fill roles for you. If you've been struggling in the hiring rat race, you need Glow Resources. Online at glowresources.com. GLO, glowresources.com.
Value Ford has $10,000 off F-150. $10,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And all new Value Ford vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Value Ford is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Bears Construction and Roofing brings you live coverage of the 2024 SEC Football Media Days, Monday, July 15th through Thursday, July 18th. Find highlights from the week on the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. Our coverage is also brought to you locally by Rev Business and Relief Windows.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Jay Johnson continues doing work in the transfer portal. This is one that it was on our radar for a while, and we talked about it a good bit, and so this shouldn't come maybe as any great surprise. But Jacob Myers from Nichols has picked the LSU Tigers in the transfer portal. He tweeted on Sunday, "Excited to announce I'll be transferring to Louisiana State University to further my academic and baseball career. I'd like to thank my family, friends, coaches, teammates who have helped me along the way. Go Tigers." So Jacob Myers becomes the latest commit in the transfer portal for Jay Johnson. A couple of things here. I want to talk about numbers on the pitching staff here in just a quick second. But as a refresher, if you're not sure about Myers' story, so Jacob Myers from Sanoma and was a really good player at Sanoma. Got Sanoma all the way to the state championship game in 5A. He was lightly recruited, ends up going to Nichols, and of course just kept blossoming. And he's just got a real long frame, and he's listed now at 6'5", 205. So that he really grew in that frame, the sort of whip-like action, and his velocity really ticked up. So he's been hard to handle, and he's been a great strikeout pitcher for 2 years. I think we've talked about his performance in the regional opener a year ago in Tuscaloosa against Alabama, where he went 5 2/3 and struck out 8 and was fantastic and left that game with the lead when they were a 4 seed in Tuscaloosa against the number 1 seed, Alabama. They lost that game, but he left it with the lead. So Myers has really good stuff. We've thrown out the stat before, if you remember. This year at Nichols, he threw 70 2/3 innings pitched. 7-0. 70 2/3 innings pitched. He struck out 106. 106 strikeouts in 70 2/3 innings pitched. That's elite strikeout stuff. And you're going to say, who is it against? I'll get back to that. The problem is he led the country in walks. He walked 76 hitters last year. 76 walks in 70 2/3 innings pitched. So more than a walk per inning pitched. But you get a hold of your command, and he could be elite level dominant. And yes, it's fair to say, okay, well, he struck out 106. Who did he do it against? All right, well, here's who he pitched against this year. Sacred Heart, Eastern Illinois, Southern, Grambling, Nebraska, UNO, Corpus Christi, Southeastern, Northwestern State, Southern Miss, Houston Christian, Louisiana Tech, Southern, Incarnate Word, Lamar, McNeese, Corpus Christi, Irvine. So it's fair. Again, like when we talked about Devin Sheeran from Mount St. Mary's. Well, who did he pitch against? It's fair. But when it comes to pitching is measurable. It is measurable. You can measure velocity. You can measure spin rate. You can measure horizontal break. You either have that or you don't have that. Yes, you have to learn how to pitch and pitchability and all that stuff, and that's where coaching comes in. And you hope that Nate Yeske can work with Jacob Myers and get the command ironed out. So if they do, you got something white hot right here. And it's a local guy, man, from Sanoma. So you love this. And as a sort of random aside, this is also the thing that I love about the transfer portal. Here's a guy that coming out of high school was lightly regarded, continued to grow in his body at 18, 19, 20, and now is ready to pitch at LSU. In years past, that might have been the only option would have been JUCO. Well, now we can go pitch at Nichols and get better and then transfer. And it's just how it works. It's just how the system's going to work. So and it works to the benefit for a guy like Jacob Myers. So I like it. I really wish him well. It's another big power arm that LSU's added. And I know we've run through this list before, but LSU's already lost 15 pitchers off of last year's team. 15. Now, they were heavy. They carried more, like, you could typically get by with 12 to 13 pitchers on a roster. By the time you get to the postseason, you're going to shrink it down to like 7 or 8 that you're really going to rely on. But remember, the seniors that you're losing, Ackenhausen, Helmers, Little, like, you know those guys are gone. When you talk about the draft, you're losing Gage Jump and Luke Holman, Thatcher Hurd, Fidel Ulloa, Justin Lohr. So, I mean, those 5 to the draft for sure, the 3 seniors for sure. And then when you look at the handful of guys that you've already lost, there's 7 players that you've already lost in the portal, pitchers that you've already lost in the portal this year. You're talking about you've lost 15 arms already. And then we're still waiting to see what happens with Griffin Herring. Now, you've got 4 guys that return for next year, and you've got a high school class coming in, so we'll wait and see how that goes. And then you look at the additions so far in the portal. Jacob Myers becomes the 5th pitcher that you've added now, with Myers, Luke Hayden, Zach Cohen, Devin Sheeran, and Chandler Dorsey. So you've added 5 from the portal. You're going to get 4 guys returning. That's 9 or 10, we'll see with Herring. And then with the 3 or 4 that you have definitely coming to campus in this freshman class, that will put you at a number that's usually appropriate. You can get by with 13, 14 arms. Now, Jay Johnson this past year, Nate Yeske, I mean, they just had a complete abundance of arms. It was hard to get guys innings, which is why you saw a lot of guys leave this year. So we'll see. You got Chase Shores coming back. You've got Cade Anderson coming back. You'll have Newt coming off of injury. DJ Primo is back as well. So you've got guys, right? You've got some arms there. We'll see maybe, if Griffin Herring comes back, there'll be 5 returning. And then with the guys coming in, I just can't believe that they're done yet. And the big fish in the pond is still Zach Root from East Carolina. And, they were supposed to get Root for a visit a couple of weeks ago. He didn't come in, but I did have a conversation today where they're still actively recruiting Zach Root. They feel good about him. He's the lefty from East Carolina, and the top 2 players in the portal this year are Gavin Killeen, the shortstop from Louisville, and Zach Root, the lefty from East Carolina. Those are the top 2 guys in the portal. LSU is still very much in the mix for both of them. Killeen was waiting until the College World Series was over because he wanted to visit Texas A&M. We'll see what happens with all the conversation around Schlossnagle and the Texas job, and we'll see. But that's one to keep an eye on. And then Zach Root as well, because they land Zach Root. Now, all of a sudden, you're talking about a rotation that's Chase Shores, Zach Root, Cade Anderson, potentially. And then you've got Devin Sheeran throwing 98 trying to earn a spot. Jacob Myers, a big strikeout arm trying to earn a spot. Zach Cohen, who's an innings eater, who's the Friday night guy at Wofford trying to earn a spot. Luke Hayden from Indiana State. You know what I mean? Like, you've got an abundance of really good options. They're not all going to pan out just like we saw this year. I mean, we all thought LSU started this season with Thatcher Hurd as their Friday night guy. By the end of the season, the end of the regular season, he wasn't even pitching. So they're not all going to pan out. Cam Johnson was a guy who we thought would be the midweek guy, and maybe by middle season, end of SEC play, he'd be in the rotation. Like, he wasn't even on the postseason roster. So they don't always pan out. But you give yourself enough options, somebody's going to pan out. And you give yourself a lot of really good options that the ones that do will work out really well for you. So another really good option here in Jacob Myers, a local guy from Santa Monica, went to Nichols. Great strikeout stuff, has to work on his command, but another really good arm for Jay Johnson and Nate Yeske to work with going on into 2025. All right, y'all. It's After Further Review. We're pumped to have you aboard with us here. Love telling you about First South Farm Credit. FirstSouthLand.com. FirstSouthLand.com. If you're thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. This year, First South Farm Credit, the patronage refund, they paid back $25.5 million to their borrowers. Think about that. How often have you ever had a lender write you a check? Well, at First South Farm Credit, it happens every year. They're a cooperative, and they share their profits with their borrowers. So if you borrow from First South Farm Credit, every year you're going to get a check as part of that patronage refund, which effectively lowers your cost of borrowing. So if your rate's 5%, you get that bachelor's refund. It's really like you're paying 4%. It's First South Farm Credit. FirstSouthLand.com. Yes, they are farmland, but farmers know about First South Farm Credit. But they're not just farmland. More than half their business are people buying 20 acres to go build their family's dream home. It's First South Farm Credit. FirstSouthLand.com. FirstSouthLand.com. So many people maybe in New Orleans. You start your family, you're moving to the North Shore, you want to build that home for your family. First South Farm Credit can help. Go to FirstSouthLand.com. FirstSouthLand.com. Okay, y'all. College World Series. Game 3 is tonight. We are about an hour away from first pitch. David Dellucci, SEC Network, will be with us. We'll preview Texas A&M and Tennessee. Who does he like? Forgive me, it's actually a 6 o'clock first pitch. I was saying 6:30. We're 30 minutes away from first pitch. My apologies. So Luch is going to join us to see who he likes with the Aggies and the Vols. College baseball season comes to an end here starting in 30 minutes from right now. So we got a ton to do talking to Luch. Otter will be here. We'll see where he's got the money tonight. Tennessee is a very heavy favorite in tonight's ball game. So we'll see if the Otter likes the price with Texas A&M, or if he's got a little parlay, something to work with the Vols. So we'll see what we're betting on tonight as well. So still a lot to do as we come on down the home stretch on a Monday edition of AFR presented by Relief Windows.
AFR.
Man, it was so hot this weekend. I was out on the back patio, and honestly, it was Saturday evening. We got a little dinner, and it was still so hot. I just jumped in the pool. I can't imagine ever owning a home without a pool again after living with a pool. And so many of you know that, or so many of you had that dream of having a pool. It's time to call Duplessis Builders. Not only is the work that Derek Duplessis does just absolutely gorgeous. I mean, go look at the resort-style pools they do at homes. They're all custom. It's gorgeous. But the quality of the work is what stands out when it comes to Duplessis Builders. Go to duplessisbuilders.net. Go to the website, duplessisbuilders.net. The thing they will never do, they will never cut corners. They will never cut corners. It's the quote from Gucci. Quality is remembered long after price is forgotten. Oh, you'll pay a little more. You're going to pay for the quality. But it comes with a 10-year workmanship guarantee when the industry standard is 1 year. Experience the difference. It's duplessisbuilders.net.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150. $10,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
All right, rolling along here in the 5 o'clock hour. David Dellucci is finishing up a show, actually, on the SEC Network. He's supposed to dial us here any minute. Beck, I'm actually going to send you his number if you want to give him a call. He may not have looked at his phone. He may just be waiting for us to call. My apologies, y'all. We're doing this on the fly. Just a mistake on my part. Should have been prepared for that. All right, Beck. There you go. I just sent you Luch's number if you give him a shout. All right, we'll see if we can get David Dellucci here. We'll do a quick preview of the game, and Otter's coming up here a little more than 10 minutes from right now for Otter Locks. Remember, you can always email us, tweet us, text us in the 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. This is so fascinating to me. And I really didn't intend for this to be the case. But now I have Alabama fans and Texas A&M fans flooding my Twitter mentions, freaking out. The Bama people are just melting over all the Bama's burning stuff, although that's cooled a bit. But every time there's any commit or decommit on either side, they just flood me. And I tweeted earlier today, and I'll share this tweet with you. Again, if you're maybe just knocking off work, jumping to the car, don't know what we're talking about. Texas today announced they fired David Pierce after 8 years, their head baseball coach. And so much of the scuttle around college baseball is that one of these two coaches coaching tonight, Vitello and Schlossnagle, one of those guys is Texas's target. And it makes the most sense because we were told all along they were going to fire David Pierce, and they didn't want a long, drawn-out search. They were going to have their guy ready to go. Well, if it were anyone other than these two guys, why wouldn't you have already hired them? That's sort of the logic. And so today, all of the talk has been about Schlossnagle, his relationship with Chris Del Conte, the athletic director at Texas, who had previously been with him at TCU, just a lot of stuff, whatever. And so I tweeted, if Texas actually gets this across the finish line, it might be the craziest coup in college baseball history. Stealing a head coach from your bitter rival after they played for their first men's national title in a major team sport since 1939. Oh, and it would be the year they enter your conference? Sheesh. Schloss worked under Chris Del Conte at TCU. Could that relationship and $2.5 million per year get Schloss to Austin? That tweet has now been viewed 253,000 times. I tweeted that at 11 a.m. 6 hours ago. In 6 hours, it's been viewed 250,000 times. And, man, the A&M people are not really happy with that. Again, I'm not saying it's happening. I'm not telling you there's a deal done. And even if there is a deal done in principle, you still have to get it across the finish line. Like, what if A&M wins tonight? Which, by the way, they're my pick. What if A&M wins tonight? Does Jim Schlossnagle, like maybe 2 weeks ago, had conversations with Texas? Does he change his mind? I don't know. It would be really hard to justify leaving like a day after you win a national championship. I know Jim Harbaugh did it, but Harbaugh left for the NFL. Jim Schlossnagle wouldn't be leaving for Major League Baseball. He'd be leaving for his bitter in-state rival who's going to be in the same conference. Just a stunning thought to see if it could all transpire that way. All right, David Dellucci is good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here. Luch, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. It is smoking hot
out here in Omaha, Nebraska. The temperature is 100 degrees, and we just got off set. We feel every bit of it. I can only imagine what it's like on the field level.
Is the wind blowing in or out?
It is blowing from right field to the left field line at about 20 to 25 miles an hour. That's the first thing I check whenever I go to a stadium as a former hitter, is which way the wind's blowing. So it's
Luch, who do you – sorry, man, I think your phone broke up there. Who do you think the conditions benefit, Tennessee or Texas A&M?
I think the conditions benefit A&M. A&M is a team that takes a lot of pitches. They average a little more than 4 pitches per plate appearance, and so they don't rely on the home run as much as Tennessee. So A&M is going to try to work count. They're going to try to get the pitch count up on Xander Sechrist, and they rely on rallies. I mean, that's what they do, is hit the ball in the gaps. They're one of the best teams in the country when it comes to doubles. So they're going to play to the conditions really well.
Who has the advantage on the mound today?
I'll also go with A&M on that, even though Xander Sechrist over his last 12 2/3 innings has been outstanding. Very good pitcher, relies on location and movement. But Justin Lampkin and his 2 starts out here in Omaha combined for 8 innings, 15 strikeouts, and only 1 walk. And if A&M has the lead going into, I don't know, second, third inning, they're going to bring out Evan Oschenbeck, who is the lowest ERA in Division I baseball and one of the best closers out there. So it sets up nicely for them if they can get a lead early.
David Dellucci is with us from Omaha. First pitch about 20 minutes away. How much could how much could Oschenbeck give them after throwing 50 pitches 2 days ago?
So, he's ready for that. I mean, he had an off day yesterday, and let's not forget he's a relief pitcher that has been depended on heavily throughout the course of the year. So I think the off day has really helped him out a lot. He doesn't rely on max velocity. He's got an average fastball, but it's an invisi ball where it'll start on the inside corner and break on the outside corner. So I don't think the lack of rest is going to affect him.
David Dellucci from Omaha. A couple more for you, Luch. What's the crowd there like? What's the crowd split?
Amazing. It is an amazing crowd. It's 50-50, almost right down the middle. We have had sellouts every single game. 26,000 plus people here today. Just an awesome atmosphere, man. That's what you expect out of the SEC. A lot of people say, it's not like an LSU crowd or Mississippi State or Ole Miss, because that was really heavy on one side, on one team. This has been, as I said, 50-50, very loud during the course of the game. It's just been an awesome atmosphere for college baseball.
2 more for you, Luch. Have the Texas rumors been part of the conversation there today at all?
Started creeping up more and more today. And I don't know what it's like. I have not been down to the team. Don't know what the effect is on the team, but you can't help but get away from it. It's on social media everywhere. And I think a lot of people sort of revolving the team are more concerned with winning the ball game today. But definitely some fans have been asking questions.
Who wins?
I picked Tennessee to start the College World Series, and I'm going to have to stick with them just because I'm stubborn and I won't change my pick. But with the conditions, with the playing conditions, and with the way the pitching rotation is set for A&M, man, I tell you what, A&M has got a great shot. So even though I'm holding with my stubbornness, I got a feeling it's going to go toward A&M.
Luch, before the entire tournament started, I picked A&M in our snake draft here on the show. I picked A&M to win the whole thing back then. And I'm looking at the odds tonight, and Tennessee is a heavy betting favorite in this game. Tennessee is minus 220. A&M is plus 170. But I'm just as stubborn, man. I'm going to stick with my pick as well. See if the Aggies can get it done, man. Hey, Luch, it's been fun chatting all year, man. Thanks for making it happen today. We appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Miss the Tigers and the LSU fans up here, but at least we got 2 SEC teams.
So do the bartenders and the waiters and all the hotels. They all miss LSU. All right, Luch, we appreciate you. See you, man.
All right, thanks so much. Y'all take care.
All right, be well. That's David Dellucci from up in Omaha. 17 minutes away from first pitch here in Game 3 of the College World Series. We're brought to you by Pure Restoration. It's now Parish Restoration. We need to change it on the log. It's all good, Beck. It's all good. So, yes, Mold Zero, Pure Restoration, now rebranded to Parish Restoration because my partners in Parish Construction and Roofing, Richard Tilley, Ryan Terrio, they merged with Jim Woodworth. And they brought Pure Restoration under the Parish umbrella. So it's Parish Restoration, same product. I don't mean to confuse you going from Mold Zero to Pure Restoration out of Parish Restoration, but same product, the patented non-toxic dry fog treatment. That'll kill mold, remove odor. If you had water intrusion into your home, have mold, think you might have mold in your walls, look up by your air vents. See little black specks by your air vents? That's mold. Because, Louisiana is like the world's breeding ground because it's humid and wet. So when there's heat and humidity and it's wet, yeah, it's a perfect breeding ground for mold. You want to get rid of it the easiest way, the most cost-effective way, and the most efficient way is Parish Restoration. Their patented non-toxic dry fog. Half a day in a single-family residential home, half a day, in and out. Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom. Look them up online, parishbuilt.com. Hit the restoration tab on the homepage. You can learn more about the patented non-toxic dry fog treatment, their process, how it works versus competitors, why a dry fog is the best way to go, and why Parish Restoration is the #1 dry fogging company in the entire United States of America. No company dry fogs more square footage per year than Parish Restoration. Parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. All right, y'all, been a really good show. Appreciate you for being there with us. You missed anything, remember AFR On Demand presented by Brett Golf. Talked a ton of recruiting. Jaboree Antoine's decommitment, but the Tigers did land 3 commits over the weekend. Baseball commitment with Jacob Myers from Nichols. We talked some Oklahoma with Eddie Radosevich, who was here. Luch was here just a bit ago. A lot of talk about the Texas job situation and how David Pierce being fired, the domino effect could potentially affect LSU. So, giant show. If you missed any of it, AFR On Demand presented by Brett Golf. Book your tee time at golf.breck.org. Golf.breck.org. All right, one thing left to do. Jimmy will join us for Otter Locks. We'll see who the Otters got tonight. Not only do you have College World Series Finals Game 3, Stanley Cup Finals Game 7 tonight, Major League Baseball. We're betting on all of it. Otter will be here next to tell us who he's betting on. So stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
Man, I love telling you about our friends over at Action Industries. Great local business that's been serving the petrochemical refinery markets since 1982. 42 years in business. If you're a maintenance manager in one of these plants, you're a turnaround coordinator, and you don't yet know Action Industries, man, you should. A great local company. And really, the thing about Action Industries is they know themselves. Their sweet spot is a 100-person job. If you have this big $200 million job, that's not them. They're not equipped to service you. Now, if you have a mega project, they can absolutely help supplement that workforce if that's what you need. So call Action Industries there. But if you have that 100-person job, you are their #1 priority with all of their best people. It's Action Industries. Check them out online. ActionIndinc.com is an Action Industries Incorporated. ActionIndinc.com. Or check them out on LinkedIn as well. Proud partner of LSU Athletics. It's Action Industries.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Now the stretch we come, final segment here on a Monday edition of AFR. Of course, we always appreciate Brandon Holly, Adrian Holly, our great friends over at Relief Windows. If you're watching, got some new Relief Windows hats there on the front of the set. Oh, they loaded me up today, man. Great looking hat as well. They're just the best. You need windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do indoor shutters as well. They're just the best. And they'll never take $1 from you until the work is done and you're thrilled. It's Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Title sponsor of our Monday shows all throughout the year. Okay, let's find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
Otter, how are you?
Good, Matt. How about you?
Man, I'm doing awesome. Had a great weekend and excited for tonight, man. A lot of meat on the bone. We'll see a baseball national champion crowned, and then one of those teams probably cry because their coach is going to Texas.
You think both are in play?
No, I think it's Jim Schlossnagle, and if he gets cold feet, I think they're going to hire Skip Johnson from Oklahoma.
Okay. Yeah. It's funny, man. We were talking about it on the midday show today as well, and Trev Alberts didn't hire Schlossnagle at Texas A&M, but this would be another kick in the teeth to little brother A&M.
Wouldn't it?
They lose they lose their coach.
Oh my God! I mean, Otter, you know as well as I do. It's in these things. It's never done until it's done, right? And sometimes you still have Billy Donovan, who's introduced by the Orlando Magic and goes back.
Right.
But
No.
Ooh.
There's a lot of smoke.
And
I don't know. I don't kind of take Schlossnagle's side on this a little bit. We kind of knew him at Tulane. I mean, he's got a great reputation, a long run at TCU and Fort Worth, and he's got this team. It's not that Texas will give him any more budget than resources that he has at A&M.
Yeah.
They're dying for a winner. Texas has won in baseball before. They've won it before. A&M's hungry for something, man. And this is, it's just, I think it's just got to be with now the guy that's working there is his boss, not the guy that hired him.
Yep.
So, that may go.
It's a giant part of it.
It's a ridiculous line. I mean, I think A&M, and I said that I thought that Tennessee and A&M could win this series, but I thought the depth would finally catch up with them. They've done all they can with the depth, man. I mean, that was some stressful stretch last night when they go into the seventh inning down 1-0, already down a game. It's kind of a pass on the game line. I do like the run line. A&M is the visiting team. Tennessee won the toss, so plus the run line. I like +2 alternate line.
Okay,
and so I like that minus a little money there. But the big play tonight is on the under. Wind is screaming in from right field. Maybe you can get it out to left, but unless you're Caglione, you ain't getting it out to right. And, I mean, it's 10-4 to the under, and 2 of those 4, Saturday, we talked about that. The wind was going to be blowing out in game 1, but don't overreact. And you saw some of those home runs. You saw, the big run, the big score 9-5 resulted. Florida, Kentucky, the wind was blowing out a little bit. That grand slam to the opposite field and right field. Drifted, caught a little bit of the breeze, and drifted out. So, man, when the wind is blowing in, these things are going under. Yeah. And so, look, all hands on deck. I know it's cliche, but it means, hey, if you got anything left in your arm, you're pitching. So, not that the pitching is going to be thin. Certain guys will be limited, especially on the back end for Texas A&M. But I'm going all under 10.5, depending on where you shop on the game tonight.
All right. Anything on the ice?
We're going to talk to Randy McKay briefly. They're still holding on to their series set with Florida. I mean, it is all Oilers. It's all over money. So 4 straight overs in the Stanley Cup. But in Game 7s, these scores usually go down. It's more of a tentative
1 minute remaining.
So we will see. So I'm leaning toward Florida in the under tonight on the ice.
All right, Otter's got A&M on the run line and the under at the College World Series. Also an alternate line at 2 if you want to take the Aggies +2, and then Florida Panthers in the under in Game 7. Where are you tomorrow, Otter?
We're at Mike Anderson's on Lee, just off of Nicholson.
Very good. Charlie's back from the beach.
Yep.
Great.
Indeed.
Got his feet out of the sand, huh?
He loves rubbing his toes in the sand.
Right. Y'all give IC on Charlie and the Otter tomorrow. Thanks, Jimmy.
All right. Good luck.
All right. Be well. That's Jimmy Yacht. It's after further review. We're glad to have you aboard with us here as we get on down the stretch. We have our outro. Yeah, we have an outro bit. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I know. I just couldn't find it. I didn't know where it was.
There's a lot of buttons over there. Beck's doing yeoman's work there, filling in for Moose, who's on vacation. Beck, Paulie, thanks. See you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
All right, we're getting on down the road. Remind you about Supper Club. Hey, look, they're closed today. Remember, Supper Club, Tuesday to Saturday. And y'all, summer is here. And a lot of people, maybe you're having that staycation. Instead of getting in the car and going to the beach or wherever, you're just going to stay around here. Or maybe you're in Lafayette or Lake Charles or Alec, wherever you might be listening. How about plan a trip to Baton Rouge and build a trip around dinner at Supper Club? Open every Tuesday to Saturday. Get your reservations at supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com. Oh, yeah. You can have the greatest steak you've ever put in your mouth. You can have a decadent piece of fish, scallops, whatever you order. It's going to be the best meal you've had, certainly in Baton Rouge. And you have options that you can literally only get at Supper Club. Man, how about a dining experience to celebrate whatever you're looking to celebrate? It's at Supper Club. Book your reservation, supperclubbtr.com.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150. $10,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.